You're listening to Well, I Laughed, Part 1 of Naughty or Nice, Under Wraps.
Hi!
Okay, hi.
There's a lot of energy coming in out of me right now.
Grant ranted at me.
Yeah, there's 3 levels of gossip. Gossip we can say on the main episode, gossip we can say on the Patreon episode, and gossip that I have to say out of this room to make sure there are no microphones. All good in my world. Just,
Just
life
things
be
that
wild
he didn't
sometimes.
want to handle on his own. Now I have to handle with him.
Welcome, young one, to the secret cave.
Secret, ta-da!
Everyone's like, oh, I bet teachers get all the good gossip. And we do.
Sometimes it's not worth it.
I have been changed. End it there.
Nope, yeah.
We have so much to talk about.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
It's Chrysler for those of you who listen on the day of release.
Humbug, but that's too strong because it's my favorite holiday. Anyways, here you go. It's a Santa hat. I got it at Five Below, which, by the way, the most overstimulating place I have ever been in my entire life. It's like so shockingly bright and then smells like kind of the perfect balance between real tobacco cigarettes and Body Slut body spray by Britney Spears. But it was right next to my gym, and you texted me during my little workout to grab something.
I was like, please, I don't actually know where any of my Santa hats are, and I don't want to find them.
Sorry, can I make room for my story?
Oh, God. We got a new piece of artwork that legitimately made Lydia cry, and also Grant and I, but it was funnier that Lydia got a little teary-eyed.
I also have Christmas paraphernalia that I got myself.
Oh, yes. Open. Yes, look. I'm very excited.
I know that you felt prompted to say that because what I just said is on the bag. Yeah. You didn't mention that to them.
Oh, I didn't. There's okay. Here's the thing. A listener, we didn't get. Did we get permission to say their name?
I can check and we can bleep it
Pretty
out
sure
later.
It's Chloe.
It is Chloe.
Okay, so it's Chloe. Chloe made us this like design that's like goes on a tote bag and it's just like quotes all like shitty little things Grant has said to me over the days. And one of them is literally...
This one's yours. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, that's both of ours. One of them is literally, I need the space to tell my story.
Say it back.
Yeah, say it back.
I do love that Hot Again has caught on, by the way.
Oh, yeah, me too.
So
it's
anyways,
beautiful.
I can't fit into most hats, which is tough when you're a bald person. It's the only thing bad about being bald.
Hats.
I know, a head made for hats, but a head too large to be held.
Yeah. I'm excited about what you're about to pull out.
So
is it a headband?
I just need you to in the ways you are right and in the ways you are wrong. I know whenever I walk into a store like Five Below, right, which is like these are just a bunch of like fun, cheap little items, that if there is clothing items, they won't fit me. Yeah. And that's why when you were like, get like some ugly Christmas sweaters, I was like, I'm sure, no offense, Five Below, you're not a sponsor, but I'm sure I could find something truly horrendous in this building right now, but it will not fit me, even if I get like tarp size, just because of the way.
Well, it'll also fit like a bag.
Right.
Like it just in general. It would fit me bad too.
So didn't get sweater.
Okay.
Didn't get hat. I instead just got a little wristband. It's a scrunchie.
It matches Mo.
Right, 100%.
He also, I'm sure Mo will make an appearance at some point. She never stays under that blanket for long. She's wearing like a jester, like Shakespearean collar.
My brother asked for a tennis bracelet for Christmas, and I think I got it for him.
I think that's it.
There's a bell.
Ding, 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 ding.
Like the Polar Express.
All aboard.
And it matches everything, That's what's so perfect about it.
So good.
I'm ready for my Sears photo shoot from the 90s.
Yes.
Of just like dramatic eye flare.
Yeah.
So Merry Christmas. We're dressed for the occasion. It's not Christmas in our world.
No, that's why we weren't prepared for Christmas.
Right.
Episode. I remembered earlier today. But this was as I was doing my Christmas episode notes. It's fine.
The theme is literally naughty or nice.
Yeah.
Is this an actual gift or a gag gift?
Oh, this is an actual gift.
Okay, so I just needed to be emotionally prepared for that first. Okay, I'm ready.
This is from Casey and I.
Oh my God, it's beautiful.
I didn't actually wrap it because I'm lazy.
Heavy.
Yeah.
What? Oh, I did not spend enough money on your gift.
Casey and I split it, so don't feel like weird about it. I found one of these on Facebook Marketplace, and then the lady sold it out from under me, so I ended up just like buying one. But because it wasn't actually like that much more expensive.
100 years ago in this state, you could have shot her dead on her front porch for doing something like that.
It was fine.
Oh my god, and it's the perfect cutter. Okay, so what it is, folks at home, it is a Le Creuset French press.
Yeah. I screamed a little bit when I saw it.
My god. Oh my god.
Isn't it so pretty?
It's gorgeous.
I lost my mind.
Oh my god. Yeah, next year we need to set a price limit on
No.
these gifts.
With love,
I have a single income.
I know.
Oh.
And I can just buy things and then make Casey pay for half.
Oh my god. And then plunge.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's been talking about wanting a French press.
Yes, just to make a little bit better coffee.
That showed up on my Facebook Marketplace, and I was like,
I can put it on my table when I do work, and then I can just pour myself a little coffee. I don't deserve it. Thank you so much. I really do not deserve this.
Well, you do, so enjoy. It was going to be a housewarming gift, and then that ended up being slower than I thought it would be.
I owned this home for 5 years. Okay, that makes me feel better.
So it's a Christmas gift.
Especially for the story I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
So went home for Thanksgiving, obviously. And Griffin and Taylor were also home for Thanksgiving, brother, sister-in-law.
Yeah.
And I come up from the basement and I just immediately reach for my parents' like airlocked container of coffee grounds. It's from a specialty roaster in Kansas City. So like they ship it up to them. One time they both noticed they were running low on coffee grounds. So they both independently pre-ordered 5 pounds of it as a surprise for the other. And then we're surprised really when 10 pounds of it showed. Yes. Yes.
Caught in the rain.
We're shocked when 10 pounds of it showed. But it's quality coffee. They like it. I immediately reach for it and start to scoop it out. And Griffin goes, "Whoa, Grant, that's their special coffee. It's Monday." And I look at him and I go, "They don't make me drink Dunkin' when I come home."
That was good. That was good.
And then my mom kind of like saunters in and she goes, "Hey, kiddo, out getting yourself some Snickerdoodle," which is like the flavor of the coffee. And I was like, "I am." And you could just see Griffin
like,
shriek. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sure he has a different version of that story. It's
probably
factually correct. Mine is. Don't worry about it. Oh, the little bell.
The bell?
When I clutch my
You're
pearls,
gonna have to get another
it
one.
jingles a little bit. For $100 right now, I will teach all day tomorrow with this and not mention a single thing.
I already gave you the Le Creuset. That was your $100. Just kidding. That was not $100, but still.
Just imagine me gesturing. Now, the issue with our second contention here, and it's just so dramatic and so unexplained.
Pair that with your billowy sweater. You would never stop moving your upper body.
Listen, more on this later in Patreon, because it's his main episode, I know. But, I currently feel like I'm one of the least dramatic people in my department. So I think I need to up my game a little bit.
I think so. I think that would do it. Like, just a little.
I haven't made any demands yet, and I think I'm supposed to. That's what I'm gathering. Is this room temperature? Get it out of my face. Is there a card in here too?
No.
Oh no, it's trash that I threw.
Yes. You think I had time for a card? No. It's been sitting in my closet for like a month.
Like a good millennial, I did actually have to write out a full-on check today. And that was good. Knew how to do that without having to look it up. Then had to put it in a blank envelope and definitely just did a quick little Google as to top corner of mine and the center of theirs. Yeah. Where do I put the address?
Oh, Grant.
It goes name, address, city, state, zip, right?
Yeah.
But like... For a skill I use once a year.
You should have seen me trying to address the Christmas cards to our patrons last year to the people that live overseas. No fucking idea how to address foreign zip codes.
And actually, if you just let me know, I can send you the article I used today.
Oh, I'm not doing it again. Yeah. I'll be using a service.
Honestly, shout out to Patreon members who were with us last year, because you guys, there's so many of you this year that
at least.
It's more than doubled.
More than doubled, yeah. So that's why I can't
do it this year.
You
just
personalized gift cards.
And then I have one more story that I can tell everybody
I have.
from the holidays, I think?
I have one.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have 3 very lovely nieces and nephews.
I'm going to step out of the room for this story. Because it's the...
Yeah. The middle child is just precious, right? I was given permission to say their names, so I'm going to say their names, but if I ever, like, show pictures, I'll probably, like, blur
Blur
their
out the
faces or
faces,
something.
sure.
Her name is Quinn, and her and I actually fell asleep on the couch, like, using the same pillow right before dinner, like, the day after Thanksgiving, I think. And someone got a picture of it. It was really cute. But then we were, like, Casey, like, woke us both up to get ready for dinner and whatever. And so I woke up, I was, like, kind of sitting up, like, drinking a little bit of coffee or something. And she was, like, still kind of waking up, like, pouting about the fact that she had to wake up, like, in a playful way. But she had her head in my lap. And I, like, had this coffee mug over her head. Do you want to take your headphones off? I mean, you can still hear me.
I'm just going to go ahead and plug my ears now. Yeah, 100%.
And she gets up and hits the coffee mug.
The headphones are too good. I can hear it too clearly. Go ahead.
Her head hits the coffee cup hits my tooth, and it chips my tooth. And
Gross.
I have already chipped my tooth from, like, an accident a couple of years ago, and it was just this front right tooth. And it chipped, like, half of the tooth off. Sorry, Grant. To the point where I almost just had to get a root canal, but I didn't because there's enough of the root that wasn't exposed.
Sorry.
Whatever.
I don't do this kind of stuff well.
I know you don't. So anyway, she only managed to chip the veneer of the tooth, so it was just like a tiny chip in the, like, front corner area. And so I went in and got it fixed earlier today, but now it's, like, weird because I can tell it's, like, a slightly different length than it used to be because they had to, like, fix it, and now it's, like, freaking me out a little bit.
It's so good to know that there's one part of your physical appearance that isn't perfect.
I have enamel damage forever.
Yeah, I do too from the amount of coffee I drink.
I have enamel damage from not brushing my teeth like I had braces.
Gross.
Oh, and my fucking dentist has known me since I was, like, 6, so I had to deal with that today. He was like, "How
what
are the
did you
parents?"
have to do today?
And then he was like, really, like, emotionally disappointed in me for not flossing as much as I need to. And I was like, I can't handle this kind of parental disappointment from you, sir.
It's their Christmas, and you're talking about dentistry right now?
Yeah, I got guilted into scheduling a cleaning. I'm mad about it.
And
Anyway.
in your dear listener, in your mid-20s, you are guilted into dentist appointments. In your 30s, death creeps in through the gums.
So I saw Grant panic about his teeth, and now I'm trying to get ahead of it.
Right, 100%. Right, yes. Yeah. Any other gross mouth updates, or can I go to my story now?
No. Yeah, you could go to your story.
Okay, 2 rapid-fire successions. First, with my parents, over the Thanksgiving holiday, music's playing. We're having a great time. The song, Why Can't We Be Friends, come on.
Why can't we be friends?
My mom immediately goes, I've always hated this song.
Oh, wait, I do have 2 more stories.
And I was like, do you want to say more there, Mom?
Yeah.
Want to tee it up, Teresa? What's going on here now? And Mom goes, well, just listen to it. Like, from a music standpoint, it's not a pleasing song to listen to. And she's a little right. It is a little shouty.
Okay.
Second story. If you're like my family and are required to watch Jim Carrey's How the Grinch Stole Christmas this holiday season, as you should, it's a masterpiece.
That's good.
But many have asked, why is it a masterpiece? In today's 60-second episode, I'm here to tell you, it is a masterpiece because every single actor in that movie understood the number 1 rule when it comes to making artwork. No small parts. Every single one of them serves. Every single one of them. You're like, wow, I'm loving this movie. Can it get any better? And then boom, Christine Baranski's there.
That's really true.
Did I have a crush on the Grinch? Of course not. I didn't ask you that question. Gold. Throw a line, and they knew what to do. When they come tumbling down the mountain in the opening scene, also known as setting the scene in rising action, right? When the mayor of Whoville, Holiday Hoobie Wuddy, his name, you know, and he's like, I'm sure they were just playing with matches or defacing public property. Nothing to be worried about. Gold. Understood instantly. This is not pudding. That's an unnamed actor who knew exactly what to do with that line. It is gold because they are all absolutely serving. And then on that note, there's that moment where he blows up the Holiday Who Fest or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
And he's like trying to get a ride and a little taxi zooms by. And do you remember what he yells?
No, I have no
It's
idea.
because I'm green, isn't
it?
it? So I saw a TikTok yesterday about that and it just was labeled the entire plot of Wicked.
That's good.
That's it for Grant's holiday update. I'll let you know more
We
after
should do
Christmas.
more with that for you. 60-second soapbox is what I'll call it.
Good. Today's 60-second episode.
Soapbox.
Grant answers. What's going on with Caleb Hebron?
Okay. I don't remember who said this. In my head, it's Casey. While we were at Thanksgiving, Casey's parents, we were at their house. They have like a driveway that's like just wide enough to set up a pickleball court.
Mm-hmm.
And they all got really into it over Thanksgiving, I'll tell you. Casey, at some point, I think this was Casey. It could have been someone else, so forgive me if I'm wrong. But I don't know how any of you will fact check me. But Casey, I think, goes to bed and he's like, what does he say? He's like, I'm going to go to bed early today. Got to make some people cry at pickleball tomorrow morning. What?
The way that I know Griffin and Casey are best friends that because of fate have been separated.
Yes.
When we go
They're like cousins.
Right. When we
Yeah.
go vacation in the Ozarks, Griffin locks in on pickleball. And it's like at the top of this hill, completely sun exposed.
Yeah.
And it's just their entire life. I'm like, there's pool, lake, and pina coladas. And instead you're like squeaking up the blacktop up there with your little pickleball game.
It makes sense now why Casey asks about Griffin a lot.
Yeah.
actually.
Do you know who asks a lot about Jacob?
Who?
My dad.
Cousins.
Yes, 100%. And I chuckle every time he does because this week he was like, you know what I just think is so funny? Like when you saw that flyer for that taco eating contest
Yeah.
and you dropped it into the group chat and within 10 minutes Jacob was like, boom, done, already signed up. I just think that's so funny that he would do that. And I looked at my dad and I go,
That's Jacob.
what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, Jacob's just like quiet computer guy. And I
No,
go,
he's not.
No, he's not.
I don't know what version you've seen.
Right. I was like, I don't even think Jacob would refer to himself as a computer guy. I think he's guy who logs into computers sometimes.
Guy who makes money from computer.
Right. But Jacob instantly signing up, no regrets, no thoughts for a taco eating contest at
That adds
4:30
up,
on a Thursday
like,
afternoon.
perfectly.
Yeah, that's actually just the tip of the iceberg of this man. Just a heads up for your own hair. My skin is starting to itch from these things.
I also have full head of hair between me and hat.
Not good for wrist skin.
Okay. I listened to one of our episodes recently. I usually listen to like the first 20 minutes just so I can avoid getting random texts that hurt my feelings until I understand the context of them.
Okay.
Like that one time Hayden was like, I think your forehead is a perfectly normal size. And I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Which in Hayden's defense wasn't an insult.
And it also made sense if I had known the context. So that's what I do. Anyway, you all have been getting Dragon Ball Z commercials. Here are the commercials I got. Antivo, the medication. And then Les Mis, Chicago.
I love it.
And I was like, what?
This morning, because it's clearly all algorithm driven.
Oh, yeah.
I got Patriot sweatshirts. From the cotton to the zipper, 100% made in America.
Okay.
Slate magazine called them the world's perfect sweatshirt. And I was like, I don't know if you know this about me. I despise sweatshirts. I think they look frumpy on everybody. I'm wearing a crew neck right now. Which is a fundamentally different cut of fabric. Do you know why it's fundamentally different?
No
Because it doesn't
clue.
have a kangaroo pouch at the front of it.
Kate, it's perfect for storing all of my secrets.
Every single American is like, I was born to be a wild mammal on the plains of Australia.
Yes.
And instead I'm forced to respond to emails.
Every time I put on a new sweatshirt with a new kind of pocket, I am ecstatic. You should have seen me at that photo shoot. They had the kangaroo pockets that were actually separated, so they were separate pockets, and they had zippers.
I
Amazing.
understand that your work pants can't fit 2 fully loaded Santiago burritos into them, like my chinos can.
These ones probably could.
could.
Yeah.
You should try it
These
out.
ones are big.
And also, me to you, you to me, us right now
Mm-hmm.
during this episode, I'm going to say something that I've never used on a friend before. What we're saying, what an exceptionally odd thing to say at Christmas. It's like, when is the day going to get merry and bright for these two? They are the most off topic. For us, it's like December 1. Like it's.
Also, we're drinking wine out of these strange wine glasses that are actually whiskey tumblers because one of our dear listeners made them for us. And we were like, well, there's
Yes.
no reason to use wine glasses.
Shout out Adrian, and I'll confirm if
Yes.
we need to bleep his name a lot later.
Excellent.
They are phenomenal. We have only one other set of Will I Laugh glasses from Casey's mom, and they're
Yeah.
lovely too. So it's nice to have
These
a
ones
couple.
actually have our logos on them.
Yeah, because we'll do
cool.
some days where it's like we record 2 days in a row or 2 and 3 days just to like get caught up on stuff. And then sometimes dishes are dirty. These are wonderful. They're big. They're hefty.
Yeah.
You have a very interesting life. I'm not going to put you on
Oh,
blast
yeah.
right now.
Every time we get another email from you, Grant tells me about it. I'm like,
Correct.
What?
By this point, you should have received our video opening them and were touched and honored. And also, just so all of our listeners know, Casey brought we carpooled to an Italian dinner,
Oh, yeah.
and then our carpool headed north, and so Casey had to like putter around and drive the rest of us home. So he brought Lydia to your guys' house
Yes.
first, where we opened the videos,
Yeah.
and Lydia got to be part of
Open
her
the
first
videos,
two,
open the box.
right, on video.
Yes.
And Lydia got to be part of her first 2 ever unboxing videos. And so we're like, thank you all so much. And she's, she doesn't know what to do, but she's excited to be there, which is classic her.
It's so funny.
And then we put Adrian's gift down. We put Chloe's gift. We're having a good
Yeah.
time. And you and I both kind of step out of frame to start packing up things. And Lydia goes, okay, what's next? And I go,
We're like, it's
no,
not Christmas.
Right, exactly. We're like, this is actually quite quite a large amount of gifts.
Yeah,
from
we
like
usually
a
get
month
once,
or two.
maybe like
Yeah, every now and
every
then.
couple months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like this is actually significant for us.
Yeah. And you got to be here, so
Right,
you're welcome.
Exactly. Sorry, it's not an endless gift parade like your life apparently is.
Yes. Also, Wicked came out. I feel like I just need to address that. I'm holding space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity. I dragged Casey to see it a second time. It's been a week since it's come out or something like that. I've seen it twice. I will probably see it a third time.
I have many things I would like to say, but I've already said all of them because my classroom is in the musical wing of our building.
I have said none of them because all of my coworkers are straight white men that I'm pretty sure are more excited to see Gladiator 2, like Casey is, than Wicked.
Now let's not say anything bad about Paul Mescal.
I'm not saying anything bad about Paul Mescal, but between Gladiator 2 and Wicked, I was certainly more excited to see one of them.
Do you know what's really fun about being me? I'm excited to see both of those movies.
Oh, I'm sure I'll be a lot more excited once I start seeing
Yeah.
Paul Mescal.
Also, last thing we'll say, and then I would love to hear your naughty or nice story. I'm like on edge. I'm just because I have no idea what direction you're taking it.
It's such an obvious. I'm shocked you haven't just guessed it by
Well, because
now.
I have an idea as to the episode that we're recording on Monday. I have an idea as to what we're gonna do, and I just have not been able to get around the corner and start really getting into it yet.
Good.
And so I might be spending a lot of time at a coffee shop on Sunday.
Well, we're watching Gladiator 2 on Sunday, so
We are. I put it in my phone. There's plenty of hours in a
yeah,
Sunday.
there is a lot of hours. It's an infinite day.
Kind of.
Yeah.
If you do it right. What was the question I was going to ask you?
I don't know.
That's it. I got it.
So if you care
Steel
to find
trap
me,
up here. Before I went to Wicked,
Yeah.
or maybe right after, I texted Maia, hey, I'm so sorry. I saw Wicked with my family. When I arrived in town in Lincoln, my mom was like, we got Wicked tickets. Everyone's so excited. And it's like, I have seen the movie already, but I will happily see it with you again when I come back. It was after the movie for sure. I was like, I will happily, because I didn't want to tell you in case like something came up and we didn't actually see it, right? Like, don't need to upset the apple cart unless we definitely see the movie. So I sent off that text message of being like, cards on the table, babes. I
we
cheated
had
on you.
kind of agreed to see it together.
Do you want to tell the good people back at home what you then said?
Oh, I already watched it.
Hello, you wanted me to wait?
I already watched it with Sophie like yesterday.
This is the plot of the Pina Colada song. Not what you said. This is the plot of the Pina Colada song.
Well, Sophie and I found out we would both be in Dallas, and I was like, excellent. It's a chance for me to like have some time like away from in-laws. I love them all dearly, but
Sure.
a chance to like have some time and
It's
also
well
watch
documented
Cynthia Erivo.
how much I love my family. I got home, bought a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Opened up my new little Mumla book. Okay. It's
Mm.
great, by the way. One
Mm-hmm.
of you on Discord suggested it. I'm far too embarrassed by its name to even say that. But it's wonderful, and you're going to get a direct message. So I get it. You got to have a little time away. So you saw it in Dallas?
Yeah. At
What?
a very swanky theater.
You did not tell me that part.
Oh, yeah.
You cheated on me out of state?
So did you.
Oh, right. Okay, well, it's because the theater that I cheated on you with was like my childhood theater girl. I saw 4 Harry Potter movies in that theater.
This theater would have served us snacks if we had arrived 2 minutes earlier.
How does one miss the cutoff for an Alamo Drafthouse?
It was kind of an Alamo Drafthouse, but you had to like buy tickets in a certain range of seats, and we decided not. Or Sophie bought the tickets, so she actually bought them out of that range. But we did buy popcorn ahead of time. But so kind of. It's fine. It was just a fancy Alamo Drafthouse that had like a full arcade in it. It was wild.
Every detail you provided me
yeah.
added less clarity than
You're
the
welcome.
sentence before.
I hope you're ready
Thank
for the
you.
story I'm about to tell you, because it's not any
If
better.
it's about Alamo Drafthouse, I am ready.
All right, are you ready for this?
Well, based off that last sentence, probably not.
Probably
but
not.
I'm eager to get into it. I am curious as to what it's about.
I just want to provide everyone a little context. I got back from Dallas, and you might be able to hear it in my voice a little. And the next morning, I woke up like kind of sick. I'm not like super sick. I just have like brain fog, really, and like a froggy throat. But that does mean researching these notes became a lot harder because my brain already with the ADHD is kind of like hard to focus, and then and I was sick, and I was trying to, and this story is like kind of an anthology, and so you'll
This
see.
story's an anthology. Are we back to an anthology?
Kind of.
Oh, that's exciting. And also provides me with a nice plan B of plan A, which I have not started to research. Doesn't work out.
Okay, perfect. Grant,
Uh-huh.
have you ever been to a meeting that's gone on way too long because of just one person?
I know way too much about the Dilatov Pass.
Clearly
You
not
know I'm
enough
joking.
because it's Dyatlov, bitch. Do you want to sit through the 5 hours again?
Yeah, sorry. So because I've definitely been to meetings that could be emails,
I mean, that's also part of this question.
but it's a meeting that goes on too long.
Because of just one person who like maybe just keeps asking questions or
Yes.
just saying things.
Those of you early in your career, I know you feel the need to ask questions to prove that you know what's going on. Shut up.
Stop after like 2.
No, don't start. Don't start. Don't start. Just ask someone after the meeting. So yeah, I know what you're talking about.
As an engineer, I like to ask questions sometimes. If nothing else, because I already know the answer and I know that the person I'm asking is going to keep talking for far too long and I don't really have to pay attention. You work with me? No, you don't. Anyway.
Go ahead. Very curious.
Okay, so we're going to go back in time.
Okay.
We're going back, like way back to 325 AD.
What? 325 AD.
AD.
Okay. What part of the world?
Eastern Europe-ish.
Okay.
Emperor Constantine.
Okay, that's what I was like,
Yeah.
are we in the Eastern Roman Empire Eastern, or are we like in Germania Eastern?
Yes.
Yeah, we're in the Eastern Byzantine Empire.
Perfect.
The Eastern Roman
Yes,
Empire.
That's what I thought, but
Right.
I wasn't confident enough to say. Emperor Constantine convened the very first Council of Nicaea,
Okay.
a council whose goal was to promote unity among Christian churches.
Wait, hold on. I have one guess.
If
but
you
I'm not
have
gonna
a
say it.
single guess, I guarantee you it's wrong because this is but one of like 20 various topics we're covering.
Okay, I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna actively try to shut up.
I mean, like, you can try, but you'll be right and wrong.
Go ahead.
Okay. The goal is to promote unity among Christian churches. There are over 300 bishops that are coming from all over the like empire or wherever to debate the nature of the Holy Trinity. Specifically, what they're talking about is one of the church's most controversial topics at the time. Specifically, from my understanding, it seems like they're debating whether or not Jesus should be considered divine and then therefore a part of the Holy Trinity. It wasn't obviously called Trinity at this point. It seemed that most in attendance were respectful and in agreement, or at least relatively quiet about their disagreement and respectful about their disagreement. Except for one man,
Okay.
Arius of Egypt.
Sorry, I'm actually kind of. You and I have both been open about our religious trauma.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What is he?
Yes.
You know? Right. And that does seem to be the official answer now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, kind of.
Interesting that's not where it started.
I know, right?
Also, 300 AD. Like, you're close enough to his life that you should have just asked him.
Yeah. Someone should have just been like, get our granddad in here right now. We know great granddad, because lifespans were short. Anyway. So the one person who's not being respectful and he's like very loudly disagreeing is Arius of Egypt. I also saw some sources call him Arius of Alexandria. Arius was teaching in his church that Jesus the Son was in no way equal to God the Father and therefore was not divine as he was created. That Jesus was a creation, therefore he could not be divine.
So he was mortal at one point, so can't be
Yes,
divine.
yes.
Okay.
So Arius was rather...
I want to know this guy's relationship with his sons, but I think about that about almost every man we talk about.
I want to know this man's relationship with his dad. I think that would tell a lot. Arius was rather heated about his stance, and he continued to argue it rather forcefully and at length, while everyone listened to his points respectfully. Well, I'm sure some were getting annoyed at Arius, and one bishop in particular was getting really annoyed at Arius. Because this bishop deeply disagreed with Arius, but was trying to be respectful, and the more Arius kept making his point, he kept being like, oh, stop.
I'm going to say this to you.
Yes.
Because I know future me experienced this yesterday. Also known as Christmas Eve.
Perfect.
Do you know what really pissed this guy off? To know that my family's Christmas Eve service runs about a hot 39 and a half minutes.
That's the Lutherans.
That is the Midwest Lutherans. I'm not even joking. We have the ability to time a roast around it.
That's good.
But my father, Dad, I love you. You're going to catch a stray here. My father, who loves God and hates traffic.
We'll leave during the end of the last song.
No, that would be rude and disrespectful.
Oh, that's what my parents.
But we will be there so early to get the exact parking spot that lets you escape immediately. We will actually spend more time waiting for the service to start than the service will actually run.
That's wild.
And I'm sure he's grumbling on his walk right now, being like, "That's not true." And I'm sure my mom's snickering and is not going to comment at all whatsoever. And that's what you know.
I'm imagining
that's
them
what you
looking
about
to each other while this
It's the Spider-Man meme, and I'm now also in the room. Who would have said that? That's so messed up.
Crazy. Okay. So this bishop is getting really peeved. The bishop that is getting really annoyed is a man named Nicholas from modern-day Turkey. And so Arius keeps arguing and arguing and arguing, and Nicholas is getting more and more irritated with Arius until finally Nicholas has had enough. He gets up, he crosses the room, and he slaps Arius across the face, and the room goes silent. I'm making this up for dramatic effect, but this is what I'm imagining.
Again.
And then I imagine chaos kind of erupts.
Sure.
And the leaders
Everyone's
of the council...
making out with each other. There's yelling happening.
Yeah, exactly. All that tension.
If this is where we get coal on Christmas from, I'm losing my mind.
So the leaders of the council bring Nicholas to Emperor Constantine, who rules that he's not going to dictate whatever punishment Nicholas should get, that the bishops themselves internally should decide what punishment Nicholas should receive.
Okay.
They ultimately decide, for the time being, they're going to strip Nicholas of his bishop garments, chain him, and throw him in jail.
But it's not all good.
until the council is over and they can make a final decision about his punishment.
Is this why we wrap presents at Christmas? I'm sorry, friends. I am on. Oh God, no! Is this where we get Hamilton from?
Yeah.
Sorry, friends at home. After a long day, I'm on my second glass of wine already. So
He's in it.
Hello.
So the next morning, the jailers come in to check on Nicholas. And they find him.
But the stone had been rolled away. I know the story.
Kind of.
Oh, no.
The jailers.
I love mythology.
Yeah. The jailer, St. Nicholas is a real guy. They find him with his chains loose on the floor. Nicholas somehow back in his bishop robes, or bishop robes, not his, and sitting on the floor studying the scriptures.
Nice.
When they ask, how? He says he claimed he had been visited in the middle of the night by Jesus and the Virgin Mary, who freed and clothed him after they had asked him, why you chained? And he said, because I love you.
Oh, that is literally called love bombing. Like, the angels are naive if they fell for it.
That's all I'm saying. Anyway.
Wait, is this where we get St. Nicholas from?
Yeah.
Shut up, for reals? Harry Houdini does it 2,000 years later, and instead all we know about is this blood feud with Sir Arthur Doyle.
Yeah. So Constantine then hears about this whole situation,
right.
and he then deems, despite that he had already said the bishops should deem the punishment, he is then like, nope, free Nicholas
right.
and reinstate him as the bishop of Myra, I think is
Sure.
how you pronounce it, which is what he was bishop of. And then also the council, separately from Nicholas, I think had already ruled against Arius. So
nice.
Nicholas won
He
all
was
of this.
vindicated.
He got to spend the
new
night
clothes.
alone.
He met Mary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this a point where I can interrupt real quick?
Yeah,
for a second? Okay. So, are you familiar with the phrase biblically accurate angel?
Yes.
Okay.
Love it. It's my favorite thing.
Those at home don't. It's like basically a giant floating eye with like kind
It's
of
a lot of eyes.
like stars
ball
and
of
lights
eyes.
coming out of it or
and
whatever.
like 8 wings or something.
Right.
It's like a spider, but like angelic and just
Right.
eyes.
It's not a cherub. Let's just put it that
No.
way, okay? Biblically accurate angel. The school, how do I say this? So so we made hand turkeys the last day of class before Thanksgiving.
Nice.
It's a thing I've done for every year for an entire decade of my teaching
fun.
career. They make little hand turkeys.
Yeah.
Actually, the older the kids get, the more they rejoice in it.
Mm.
The seniors walked in and saw the stack of colored paper and crayons I had set out for them.
Oh, they probably got so excited.
Yeah, they went, oh my God, shut up. We're actually doing this. Because it's my senior's
Yeah.
first year with me.
Yeah.
Because I'm new to this year at the school. And so a lot of them had a lot of fun, right? They get out their scissors, they cut it,
Yeah.
whatever. One child made 2 hand turkeys and then overlaid them and then gave it to
Made
me
it.
a biblically accurate
angel.
turkey. And
Wait, that's
it
so
is hanging
funny.
up in the classroom somewhere. Actually, very high. I have huge
That's
ceilings.
so- you do have huge ceilings.
It overlooks us every day.
Good. Good.
It's not religious paraphernalia.
It's not like-
It's just it looks like a road.
I just edited the episode where you pray to Donald Trump.
I did that bit again today.
I want you to do that to the turkey.
We need a 2-syllable word for it though, okay? Lord Turkey, look over us, please. Lord Turkey, please. Refill my wine bottle. I drank too much last night. Lord Turkey, please. If I do that too much, it's going to come alive. And then what do we do? Chain it?
Well, then Jesus and the Virgin Mary will visit.
Listen, some of those classes are already full. I don't have room for Jesus and the Virgin Mary. I do not.
They can stand in
And
the back.
Lord knows at my current school, I don't need another Mary.
What happens when there was no room in the classroom?
We always knew I would start a new religion. We always knew
You could make a
I
religion
would
out of
start
this.
a new religion.
Okay. So this Bishop of Myra,
Oh, we're still in the story.
as you earlier predicted.
I thought this was like a turning of the chapter into like the second one.
Kind of.
Okay,
No.
okay.
We're like very close. This is Saint Nicholas, who many historians today believe is the main inspiration for our one and only jolly old Saint Nick. Santa
Also-
Claus.
Also wild that these 2 bishops, famous for loving God and hating each other,
Yeah.
would eventually lead to being the father of one of the characters in the little gay queer book that I'm reading right now. Yeah, it's a Holiday Mlumla book. It's so wild. Again, I told you, I am too ashamed to say its name, but it's actually like quite
That's
funny.
literally the
It's
only
pithy.
reason I've never said any of the names of the weird little online books that I read. I'm like, I'm not saying those words out loud.
Listen, here's the thing. I purchased this book actually, and then had it sent to Whole Foods because I ordered it when I was in Nebraska.
Right.
Got it sent to Whole Foods because that's owned by Amazon and thus it can accept Amazon packages.
Yeah.
But I'd never done that before.
It is weird.
And the amount of like low level stress I had when I was like, I mean, surely it's wrapped up in an Amazon box still, right? It was.
Okay,
but I was
good.
like, I walked in and I was like, I'm a grown adult who can spend his money however he
However I
wants.
want.
And this can't even be top 5 weirdest things this hour that these people have handed out.
true.
Fully wrapped, like brown paper bag.
They're very good
Yeah.
about that. They're very good
Yeah,
about
they
that.
are. Yeah, they are. Anyways, it has red. It even has like red stained pages, like all the way around. It's beautiful for Christmas. I'm gonna show it to you.
So Christmas. Let's talk about her. How did she start? Because
What
it's
brings us together?
Christmas certainly has roots before Jesus.
Right.
Right. Okay. So in general, we're going to kind of divide up this next section based off of like region, and then mostly history, and then I'll get a little bit more into like some more modern day celebrations, and then we'll go back into the bulk of the story.
Nice.
So in general, Europeans celebrated light and birth in the darkest days of winter, aka the winter solstice, which is my half birthday, so you're welcome.
Can you tell she's a Gemini? I didn't even mention my half birthday in October, which of course would have been October 22nd. I didn't even mention that.
I'm pretty sure you did, actually.
Then and now.
Yeah, exactly. My 21st birthday, I ran around making people thank me for the summer solstice. I don't remember that.
I literally share a day with Earth Day. The Earth and me are reborn.
So
did I pop that bubble? Oh, did you have a second? Let us be glad. Pop.
Let us be joyful.
The wicked violin.
Okay, so the winter solstice, they celebrated this because they could look forward to longer days and extended hours of sunlight. The end of December was actually an ideal time for celebration in Europe because most cattle were killed at this or before this, so they would not need to be fed through the cold months, and it was the only time of year that people would have a large supply of meat.
Right.
So around this time, most wine and beer was done fermenting and ready to be consumed. So you're like ripe for like a big feast.
A party.
Yeah, a party. In the northern hemisphere also, many ancient people believed that the winter solstice meant that the god of sun had become weak. And if they celebrated the solstice, then the sun god would begin to start getting better again. And so the longer days. Specifically in Scandinavia, the Norse would celebrate Yule beginning on December 21st, my half birthday. Yule, December 21st through January. You're going to get a lot of that today. To recognize the return of the sun, fathers and sons would bring home large logs called Yule logs that they would set aflame. This seems to maybe have been like a community thing, or maybe it was like they would bring home a set of large logs or just like one really large log.
Like a Yule log?
Yes, that's what I said. God. And then they would feast until the log burned
I'm
out.
being sarcastic in that sentence, right?
Let me tell the story. I would like the space to tell my story.
I was literally coached before the episode. There's space for you today.
I was, but now shut up.
I'm going to retreat into the space I've been holding for defying gravity. Okay, how about that?
Cynthia Erivo would be thrilled. So they would feast until the log burned out, which could take as long as 12 days, which is why, like, that's a huge log, right? Like, that's massive. Or a lot of big logs.
Uh-huh. I have nothing to say. Don't look at me.
They also believed that every spark produced by the fire represented a new pig or calf that would be born during the coming year. In Germany and Scandinavia, they would honor the pagan god Odin, also known as Odin with an I, Odin with an E, Woden, W-O-D-E-N, W-O-D-A-N, W-U-T-A-N, W-U-O-T-A-N. Odin. or Woden, or Wotan, or anyway.
Odin's me.
They would celebrate the pagan god Odin during their midwinter holiday. Odin was a little bit different for each of these mythologies, but was a principal god in most of them. In the Norse mythology, he was the god of war, but also was a prevalent Germanic god. He was often depicted as an old bearded man riding an 8-legged horse named Sleipnir. I'm sorry about some of these pronunciations. Some of them I looked up, some of them I didn't. This one I didn't look up. Oftentimes during Yule, children would actually leave out food for this 8-legged horse, hoping for small gifts in return from Odin. Germans were...
What?
Yeah. Ironically, historians are actually like, there's probably not a huge connection from Santa Claus to Odin.
It just all happened independently?
It seems like
it.
Like
pyramids?
Yeah.
Also, an 8-legged horse?
Oh, you haven't gotten deep enough into... At some point, someone has sex with the 8-legged horse, and I think it's Loki.
Oh.
Oh, you should get... It's wild.
I'm sorry. I'm actually still hung up on Spider Horse. And then all of these little Nordic children being like...
Maybe I should do an episode on just Norse mythology.
Apple?
It's
good. You're terrifying.
So actually, good point. Germans were often terrified of him and believed
Good. Good.
not Odin, or not the horse, but Odin.
Oh.
They believed that Odin made nocturnal flights through the sky to observe his people and then decide who should prosper or perish. So many opted to stay inside and out of view.
Our God's a terrifying God. He flies and smites us down. Here comes
On
the
an
horse.
8 horse we know. Instead of 12 reindeers, just like
Do you hear
2
what I
horses.
hear? Do you hear what I hear? 8 hooves clopping. Ah!
It's like Monty Python with
So dumb.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, friends. The election kind of clearly broke us a little bit, and we were like, all right, well, enough of trying to make this world better. Here's some fun things before all the lights go out.
Literally. Jingle, jingle, jingle. In Rome, they celebrated Saturnalia, a celebration in honor of Saturn, the goddess of agriculture. Rome did not have as harsh winters as farther north did, like in Germany and Scandinavia. So it would begin the week leading up to the winter solstice. The celebration, Saturnalia, would begin the week leading up to the winter solstice and continue for a full month. So like mid-December to mid-January. During this month, the entire social order, essentially, of Rome was kind of like forgotten while everyone ate and drank as resources were plentiful. Enslaved people would be given temporary freedom and were treated as equals, theoretically. People are people. I've seen this play before. Businesses and schools were closed, so essentially France in September. Around the actual winter solstice, Juvenalia was honored. Yes.
Can I say how special it is that, at least for my community,
Yes.
the queer community, that we continued to honor Saturnalia
Yeah.
when we make our pilgrimages back to our hometowns. All of the social structures that dictate our lives
Flipped.
disappear.
Yeah.
And Maia, a wealthy, established advertising executive, knew the guy who I went to high school with, who now owns a reindeer farm. You up?
It's a Hallmark movie.
This would never work in June, but right now we're desperate. And all social standing has fallen away, as Saturnalia would want.
Yes. Part of Saturnalia was celebrating Juvenalia, a feast honoring the juveniles of Rome. An amazing naming system. Upper-class individuals would also celebrate the birthday of Mithra, the god of the unconquerable sun, which just so happened to be December 25th. Mithra was often thought to have been born from a rock, ? In my notes. I don't know. Born from a rock. End of sentence.
Oh, so she's also been on Hinge.
Probably. For some, this holiday was the most sacred day of the year. So now we're going to talk about some other winter solstice / midwinter celebrations. Not all of these are as ancient as the ones that we had just talked about.
We are really into Christmas right now.
Yeah. That's why I thought you would figure this out.
No.
Okay.
Also, I did a very, very, very quick Google search when you were telling that horrific teeth story that I'd already heard once before. I do think my story has some legs, which is good.
As many as the horse.
No, it's not a freak.
Okay. So here is one of those winter solstice celebrations called Soyal, Soyal, S-O-Y-A-L. It's a celebration of the Hopi Native Americans of northern Arizona. It included things like purifications, dancing, creating prayer sticks, and sometimes gift giving. This is the time that the Hopi welcome the Kachinas. I'm sorry about these pronunciations. These are protective spirits from the mountains. So this was another midwinter celebration. Yalda, otherwise known as Shabi Yalda, is a Persian celebration originating in Iran, which marked the last day of the Persian month of Azar, A-Z-A-R. It's celebrated light being victorious over the dark, as well as the birth of the godson, like Saturnalia, or like, what is it? The birthday of Saturnalia, yeah. So
Because days start to get longer after Christmas.
After winter solstice, which is a few days before Christmas.
Okay. So they were like, hey, more sunlight. Let's
Yeah.
all celebrate
Yes.
this across the globe.
The birth of the sun god Mithra, the same
Okay.
one that the higher ups in Rome were celebrating. This Persian festivity included consuming special foods like nuts and pomegranates, and sometimes staying awake all night. There's one called Inti Raymi, which actually happens in June because this is Peru's version of their winter solstice, which actually happens in summer, but it's their winter. It's an Incan celebration of the sun god, celebrated originally before the arrival of the Spanish conquistadors, because we Europeans ruined everything. It included feasts and sacrifices of animals or children.
Oh.
So anyways,
No. Go ahead and run that back.
The sacrifices of animals or children.
Like the bad ones? The naughty ones?
I don't know.
Or the nice ones?
Couldn't tell you. No information on that. So
just the extra ones.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I don't know.
Okay.
The Spanish conquistadors banned this.
Okay.
But eventually it was revived. But now they do mock sacrifices, or they don't actually sacrifice. They could sacrifice animals. They do not sacrifice kids anymore. There is also a celebration of midwinter in Antarctica.
Oh.
It's celebrated by the researchers that are staying there during the cold season.
That's funny.
It includes special meals.
Love the idea of Antarctica
Yeah.
not having a cold season, of there being a warm season.
Yeah. Yes. It includes special meals, films, and handmade gifts. Monet.
Just the tip of my fingers aren't enough. It's driving her crazy.
She's ridiculous. Okay. Then there's St. Lucia's Day, which is a Scandinavian celebration of lights that now celebrates St. Lucia as a Christian martyr. But now it has kind of been incorporated into earlier Norse traditions, like lighting fires to ward off evil spirits. For this day, girls would dress in white gowns and red sashes and wear wreaths of candles on their heads, which confused me.
Every Nordic celebration just is the plot of Midsummer.
Yeah. I was like, well, why candles? Why
Right.
add lit candles
On your head.
But
Especially for a group of people famously blonde,
yeah. And they do this to honor St. Lucia. There is a celebration in China called Dongzhi. Translates to the arrival of winter. It is a very
and all of these are in December, basically
around the winter solstice.
Okay.
It's a family-centric celebration in China. Generally arrives between the 21st and 23rd of December, depending on the Chinese calendar. It probably started as an end-of-harvest type of festival, celebrating the return of field workers to their families to enjoy the fruits of their labor with foods like tang yuan, which is a glutinous rice ball.
Yeah.
And then Kwanzaa, which I actually didn't know this. It was actually created in 1966.
Was it created by American political
Yes.
operatives and activists, or cultural
From my
leaders?
understanding, it was created by a cultural leader,
Okay.
Mualana Karenga,
Okay.
who's still alive, from my understanding. I could be wrong. A black nationalist who would later become a college professor. He created it to...
That was my question.
Yeah.
Was there a connection to the Black Panther organization, which was
I have no idea,
an
but
organized
probably.
kind of black political
Yeah.
identity and movement, things like
I think
that?
so.
Fascinating.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought it was more of an African basis, so this was wild to me. I kept Googling
That its
things.
history was longer.
Yeah, I kept Googling things and kept not getting results, and I
Yeah.
was like, what do you mean? What does that mean?
I once taught alongside a woman whose name was Kwanzaa, spelled slightly differently, but yeah,
Just with one A?
spelled with a Q.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So he created this to unite and empower the African American community in the aftermath of the Watts Rebellion. He modeled it after traditional African harvest festivals and named it Kwanzaa, so Kwanzaa.
Okay.
And this is based off of the Swahili phrase Matunda ya Kwanzaa, but that Kwanzaa is spelled Kwanza with only one A at the end. That phrase means first fruits. The reason he added the second A is at the first Kwanzaa celebration, there were 7 children who wanted to each represent a letter.
Oh.
And so he added another letter. At least that's what I read. It's a 7-day celebration centered around seven principles represented by 7 candles that will be lit throughout the celebration. Those 7 principles are unity, self-determination, collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and faith. And this often happens December 26th through January 1st. It is celebrated with homemade or educational gifts, preferably any gifts that you don't home make are purchased by Black-owned businesses. And this is in an effort to support your community and also avoid over-commercialisation of the holiday.
Cooperation.
Yeah.
There was a moment in Five Below today where I was like, oh my God, like just
it's so much consumerism. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I may know everywhere that we go is consumerism, but it just felt like especially close to my face in Five Below.
It's like that. Yeah. You want more wine?
I have more wine.
Oh, okay, cool. These gifts are handed out on the last day of Kwanzaa. The holiday itself often includes singing and dancing, African drums, storytelling, poetry readings, and...
Turns out I keep my empty Miyomi bottles behind my desk.
Good.
Concerning. Continue. I'm sorry.
It's celebrated with singing, dancing, African drums, storytelling, poetry readings, and a large traditional meal, which often includes dishes not just from, like, traditional African culture, but also African American culture, Caribbean, and South American cultures. 2020, apparently every Kwanzaa has a different theme. According to the Kwanzaa official website, the 2024 Kwanzaa theme is celebrating Kwanzaa in difficult and demanding times, lifting up the light that lasts.
Yeah.
If you're curious. So that's some celebrations.
So,
yes,
because we just did a quick tour around the world, I'm curious. What did your family do for Christmas? And the reason why I ask that is your mom is from Japan.
Yes.
Which is not, in my mind, a country I think about when I think of Christian holidays.
Yeah. Japan does not have a very high Christian population.
Right.
Ironically, I've come across this a couple times in various like true crime stories that actually Asian immigrants have a much higher percentage of being involved in religious communities, and that is defined community. My mom is religious, and so is my dad. I'm not sure if she was religious before meeting my dad or not. So we celebrated Christmas probably very similar to you, except not with the big family. We never really got together with the whole family to do Christmas, so it was like really quiet.
But like, I mean, so much of what we do for Christmas is based off of my parents' memories, right? Like the meal that we eat is like obviously at this point like now an elevated version than what my parents ate when they were growing up, right? Like the Christmas Eve service the night before, there's stories. My mom still makes tapioca pudding, which explaining to my children at the last school I taught at, which would have had a much higher Hispanic Latino population, I was like, it's horchata casserole. Like I don't know how else to
That's good.
It's rice and eggnog and so much cinnamon, and then it comes out and you put Cool Whip on it, and the Cool Whip melts instantly because it's a steaming hot rice casserole. Yes. And it's my mom's rice eggnog pudding.
We didn't really have dishes to do. When I got older, we just started like kind of redoing what we would do for Thanksgiving because we never would get a turkey because it was 3 of us, and there was a couple years we did that, and then we were like, this is too much turkey.
Interesting.
So we did lasagna that we could make.
Sorry, go ahead.
Lasagna as the main, and then literally every other
Christmas?
Thanksgiving dish. And Thanksgiving, we would usually do it just twice because we like enjoyed those. Making that, and it was easy enough. And then usually, at least the last few years, we would always go see a movie.
It's just because this is like this big highlight difference.
Yeah.
Talking to both you and Casey.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much. I'm just gonna say the truest aspect of this. Funny to me how our holiday celebrations were different because I was like, well, there's always ham at Thanksgiving and Christmas.
No.
There's turkey and ham for Thanksgiving. And then there's just ham for Christmas. Maybe ham and turkey again, but more ham, less turkey for Christmas.
If you say so.
Maybe like a little bit of roasted beef also for Christmas, right?
We did roasted beef, or Casey's family will do like a tenderloin.
Yeah.
For Thanksgiving. I haven't actually ever done Christmas with them. This will be my first year with
them. Fun. Okay.
So we'll see. I don't know.
If you need to bring a casserole, let me know. You know I got you on lock.
Okay.
And I'm bringing 2 of them next week for our Friendsgiving.
Oh, right. I was like, thanks.
No, I'm not doing a casserole episode next week. Although I do.
I was like, I don't know if it'll make the 12-hour drive to Dallas, but sure.
Listen, some of the things I can pitch to you absolutely would make the 12-hour drive.
Tell me more.
I will.
Okay, excellent.
It is my family's recipe for cheesy potato casserole. And before you say anything too much.
Oh, I would eat it all.
Yes.
Like, it wouldn't even matter if anyone else liked it.
Right. Yes, it is made out of hash browns.
I thought you were going to say love.
Well, duh. I mean, there's obviously cream of chicken in it.
Wait, I saw this meme. I don't know if I sent it to you. This woman would always make her husband like sandwiches every day for lunch or something, and it was like something very generic, like peanut butter and jelly or something like that.
Could never imagine, but okay.
But the day after, if they had an argument, she would make it with like a very generic jam instead of the like high quality stuff.
Sure,
and
yeah.
he would always notice, and he would just be like, "What's the difference?" You'd be like, "Well, it wasn't made with love this time." That's the funniest bit.
That's hilarious. No, it's. I mean, it'll be delicious, and it does travel well.
I'm interested.
You should be.
So enter Christianity.
Oh, okay, cool. We're back. Done talking about the holidays. Gotcha.
I mean, and more holidays. So we did kind of a tour around the world of different midsummer or midwinter celebrations that range from ancient to beginning more recently.
Right.
None of those are really based in Christianity. So let's see how Christianity affects and then conquers.
Right. How does it
everything.
get into it? Because I haven't gotten to that part of my silly little book that I'm reading right now.
So in the early days of Christianity, Easter was the main holiday celebrated, not the birth of Jesus. Around the 4th century, the church decided to begin celebrating the birth of Jesus as a holiday. Pope Julius I is the one who chose December 25th. And this is probably some level of, we'll get into some of the other reasons why he chose December 25th, but probably one of the primary reasons is that they didn't actually know when the winter solstice was. Like, science has now shown it's between the 21st and 23rd, but I think probably around then they thought it was the 25th.
They were just guessing.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah.
Yeah, so, however, it should be known, and if you don't know this yet, I'm about to blow your mind. They had no way to decipher what date Jesus was born on. Like, there is no evidence to back up that he was born on Christmas.
Of course, assumes Jesus was a person that was born at all.
True. So if we're going...
We're just talking about record keeping from 2,000 years ago.
It is, and also the fact that we don't have records about his birth. But that's... Either way, so this fact alone would become...
I would be in a fist fight with a priest from Egypt right now if it was 1,700 years ago.
I don't know, you might agree more with him because he was like, that man, not divine.
No, don't chain me up. No. So dumb.
Okay, so this fact that we don't know when Jesus was actually born would later be a sticking point for Puritans who would argue the legitimacy of the holiday of Christmas. So while there is no direct evidence to point to the date of Jesus' birth, there are a lot of speculation about what day he might have actually been born. So obviously some people are like firm in the belief that it was December 25th for some reason. But for example, Grant, what time of year do shepherds herd their sheep?
Probably when it's warm.
Probably
outside,
when there's
right?
grass.
Oh, that makes sense too.
And not snow. So not winter, aka literally basically any other holiday.
Listen, I have no idea.
Any other season.
When this pale, blue-eyed, shaggy brown hair, 6'2"
Germanic man
king was born in the Middle East. But I believe the grass would grow whenever. Like,
I mean, that's... You make a good point. So basically, a lot of people argue there is no reason for shepherds to be herding sheep in the middle of winter. So therefore, it couldn't have happened at the time that we now say that it did. Also, another argument against, the reason Mary and Joseph were in Bethlehem was for the census.
Right.
Why would they have hosted the census in the middle of winter when it was objectively the hardest for authorities to travel around and take the census?
True.
Some of the earliest written records suggest or say things like he was born, quote, 194 years, 1 month, and 13 days. I'm not going to do the math on that. Someone else said that would put the birth date at November 18th.
Okay.
There's also an anonymous document from North Africa that had a lot of basis for it, but I didn't look into it, that placed Jesus's birth at March 28th, which there's a lot of like, some other religious people say that important figures like Jesus would die on the date of birth. So therefore that would mean that he died on Easter or like the 3 days before, whatever, Good Friday. And then other people would say that important figures like Jesus would die on the date of conception, which would then put the birth
and was
date
immaculate.
still not in December is the point. So
Well, plus there's that song too. Do you hear what I hear?
Do you hear what I
Thank you.
hear?
And we all know men never listen. So who knows? Who knows when he was born?
Exactly.
However,
these are two of the more like historically based ones. Obviously, these things, to believe what I'm about to say, you have to believe in the factual accuracy of the Bible itself. And so we're just starting from there. But so based on the conception and birth of John the Baptist, which is more clearly written in the Bible, you can kind of glean the times of year that it is. So John's mother, it's said in the Bible, was probably about 6 months pregnant at the time Jesus was conceived. Therefore, we can kind of guess when Jesus was born based around that conceived date of John, or the birth date of John. And so this has much more evidence to back it up. John's father was a priest serving in Jerusalem temple during Abijah, Abijah. I looked into this briefly. I didn't want to write it all fully down. Basically, it's like the temple goes through cycles. And so he was a priest that was serving in the specific cycle of the year. And if you go back in historical text, the cycle that he was likely serving in was likely mid-June.
I wish we had like an astrology girly here with us.
There is. The next thing I'm about to talk about is astrology.
Okay, because if Jesus was born on December 25th, I just Googled it, he'd be a Capricorn. And I don't know if that feels right or not.
Well, we'll talk about what star sign he would be.
If he's a Capricorn, he would be an earth sign?
I don't know.
And then that does make sense.
Yeah.
Because I'm an earth sign.
And you're Jesus?
Well, I just think.
Moving on. Before you say anything incriminating.
The way I could absolutely tear this house down with this next comment, but we're on the main episode, so I can't.
Yeah, so don't. So basically, John's father likely was serving in the temple around mid-June, and it's kind of insinuated in the Bible that he comes home from this service at the temple, and that's when he finds out that that his wife is pregnant, or that's when they conceive John, something along those lines. So that will then put John's birth date in March, which would then most likely mean Jesus was born in September.
Okay.
Which I can believe.
Yeah, there's grass for the sheep in September.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are also some theologians and astronomers who have worked together to try and determine exactly which star the Magi were following that they said led them to Jesus in Bethlehem. They call it the Bethlehem Star. A lot of them agree that it's most likely a comet. And this aligns with some Jewish rabbis' description of the star having, quote, a rod like a spear. And so they think that this comet was one that correlated with the constellation of Virgo, aligning with the sun and moon, and that would have happened on September 15th. But then due to some science and historical data that I didn't have time to get into, the theologians actually believe that the comet was in the certain position the Magi saw it in, meaning Jesus was born around October 20th, 6 BC.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have said about half of the months in a calendar year so far. Which one do you believe? Like a true crime episode where I'm like, Maia, what theory do you believe?
I don't know.
You presented all the evidence as objective as possible.
I still have like two more.
What's your theory?
I have one more.
Okay.
And then I'll tell you that I don't know.
Okay.
Another source thinks that the star is actually a conjunction of the planet Jupiter and the star Regulus, which I think is poetic, in 3 BC, putting the birth at September 11th. I think a lot of the dates say September. That seems
okay.
The most reasonable. I don't know.
Can I present my theory?
Yeah, go for it.
See, in my mind, he was born in June.
Because he's a Gemini? Or a Cancer?
Yeah. Because he's a Gemini. My sister's a Cancer. He's not my sister.
I'm also kind of a Cancer. Because I was born with sisters.
No, because like, oh, I'm dead. 3 days later, no, I'm not. Bye. I'm descending in the sky. Gemini. Not a single other sign would. Oh, yeah. I'd love some more wine.
It's a Zin.
Ooh,
I don't know how you feel about that.
Fun. I'm thinking zesty.
Yeah, I love it.
I just don't think I need to focus. I don't think any other sign could be as dramatic.
I mean, that's fair, but also you're sitting here.
Thank you. I'm a Taurus. I'm actually shockingly grounded.
Okay.
Famously so, even.
Okay.
Oh, shit. I looked at you and then I kept pouring wine.
Don't care.
This is a Patreon comment. Keep going. Sorry that I'm in such a weird mood. I came in clearly working through a lot, and now we're talking about Christmas.
We're talking about Christmas.
So now all I want to do is spiral. And I have a little French press. I know. And I don't really actually know how to use it. So I will be watching a couple YouTube videos tonight.
It takes a while. You have to get a specific ground is the biggest thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, regardless of when Jesus was born, if he was born, depending on who you are, there is very little evidence to back up December 25th as a date, and most historical data points to summer/late fall as a birth date, but we simply just don't know.
Okay.
It's thought that the church chose this date, because there was already a lot of celebrations going on around the summer solstice, and probably they just believed the summer solstice was the 25th.
Right.
And
well, if you're going to be big in France, you can't celebrate anything in September.
It's true. So real. And so they also probably adopted this date to try and absorb the traditions of the pagans and the Saturnalia festival.
This I had heard.
Yes. Here's a source literally from a church website.
Okay.
This is the United Church of God that I pulled this quote from.
Okay.
Says, quote, given the difficulties and the desire to bring pagans into Christianity, the important fact then to get clearly into your head is that the fixing of the date as December 25th was a compromise with paganism.
Nice. Cool.
So I think people are...
Is the website as sassy about it as you just read it? Or are you interpreting the text?
I'm definitely interpreting the text.
You should write a Bible.
But the entire article was like, was Jesus born on the 25th? And then the entire article is like, probably not.
I mean, listen, there's a reason the phrase reason for the season exists, right? Which is like, it's less about the date.
You just have to
make
a
more
reason
about the
for
red
season.
cups from Starbucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Initially, Christmas was called Feast of the Nativity, which would then spread to Egypt by 432 and then England by the end of the 6th century.
Okay.
So it spread relatively quickly. When choosing to hold Christmas around the same time of year as all other winter solstice celebrations, they increased the likelihood that Christmas would be more widely accepted, but it also meant that the church lost the ability to dictate how the holiday should be celebrated, as it inevitably ended up merging with other traditions.
Because it's like, hey, Central Europe, would you like to celebrate the birth of a beautiful small infant child? Or cower in fear from your 8 horse-legged spider god, King Horse?
And fear wins.
Right. And they were like, okay, hear me out.
Both.
Yes to the baby, but I want to keep the tree in the corner. I want to keep the tree in the corner. Yes to the baby.
Yeah.
And the Roman Catholic Church was like, we feast.
We feast.
Doing like a belly dancer with my little bell.
Inside though, because
And I'm
Odin
back.
is watching.
Right, duh, obviously. I prefer to do all my sin indoors.
Indoors where the gods can't watch.
Indoors. You know the song? No. Indoors. From SpongeBob? It's fine. Go ahead.
No, okay. Anyway.
S-tier level brain rot over here. Do you know what any of the words that I just said is?
Oh, I know brain rot for sure.
Yikes.
You're
but
exhibiting it.
That's tough.
Anyway, around the Middle Ages, Christianity had mostly replaced pagan religion. So,
You just got to go for a little bit as I collect myself.
Early celebrations of Christmas would go a little bit like this.
5, 6, 7, 8. Da, 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 da.
Da, 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 da.
I said I was back and then I
you're
ruined
not.
it.
Yeah. Believers would go to church. And then afterwards, they would imbibe in a ruckus and drunken holiday that the History Channel likened to today's Mardi Gras.
Oh.
It's a carnival-like experience.
You really should experience the Thomas family Christmas Eve sometime.
I've been begging.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have to teach you a lot of church songs beforehand.
I know
but
most
it's
of
fine.
them. I think I was in the church choir at Lutheran Church.
Can I share a vulnerability right now?
Yeah, you're gonna anyway.
You're right. As I've gotten older,
Yeah.
I've grown to appreciate more and more our Christmas Eve service.
Yeah.
But not because I've like recently rediscovered my own faith, but because I'm there and I'm in the audience and I know there's a prime rib waiting for me at home. But beforehand, a woman in a red sweater and a gold brooch is going to go up to the front and go, a reading from the book of John. And it's just going to be like part of like the nativity scene, whatever. And I'm like, serve, queen. This is this is so dramatic. But you take your moment, you know?
I loved-
It's all theater to me. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I just mean like, it's a little dramatic.
Well, my Lutheran church would sometimes actually just do theater instead.
Oh, no. We're much more plain spoken. We have a man who has a failed country music career behind him who sings beautiful, kind of rusty versions of your favorite Christmas stories. And what's that? A woman pastor. Check out Nebraska Lutheranisms. Oh,
we didn't have women pastors.
So you were
that
a
was
Senate
no.
Lutheran. We were ELC Lutherans, which
Sure.
is we're the cool Lutherans.
But I got theater and then a brief candlelit service, which young Maia loved because I got to hold fire. And then service was over.
For 6 years in a row, I premiered in my church's Christmas nativity scene.
I wanted to, but my mom was like, I'm not driving you to church that many days a week.
Hilarious. My mom was like, you better win a star. No, I'm kidding. Teresa was very supportive of
You
whatever.
better win an EGOT.
Exactly. Well, the tough thing is, like, I was born with the talent, but Griffin was born with the looks. She couldn't get the cards right. Two losing hands.
I fold.
Exactly. Fast forward 10 years and I'm in bells and I'm just like, da, 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 da,
That was
da,
also
da,
so
da.
good.
I love that we both have such
We just have very
specific
weird
lived
tisms about
experiences.
I wanted to hold fire and ring loud things.
The ring and then immediately pop it back to
or
your
the
shoulder.
ring and then my favorite was when you got the big bells, you didn't even pick them up. You just hit them with mallets.
Imagine all of our listeners who didn't escape the church in
They're
their
like,
late gay teens or early 20s.
Yeah. Sorry.
Welcome. Hi.
So early church celebrations
Right.
would go like
That's where we were at. Good.
there was a church celebration followed essentially by a carnival-like Mardi Gras that more resembled the Saturnalia festivals of Rome. Additionally, each year a beggar or student
What's the difference?
exactly would be crowned, guess,
Jester?
Lord of Misrule.
Hey, kind of. Yeah. Okay.
And those taking part in the celebrations would play part as the Lord's subjects. And then the Lord and his subjects would go to the houses of the rich and demand the rich's best food and wine. And if the owners of the home failed to comply, they would be subject to whatever mischief the Lord and his subjects deemed necessary. So this is how the upper class could, quote, repay their real or imagined debts to society by entertaining less fortunate citizens.
All of these words that you have been saying to me have been queuing up one right after the other.
I know.
Church songs from my youth that I now hear once a year. And so the song that's been in play in my mind has been King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Is
Which
that part
I
of
sang
that?
tenor in, by the way.
Hilarious.
I loved it.
Our church
Yes.
has this huge organ and it just blasts you in your eye sockets.
It is Hallelujah. I did sing
is
it
it
every year
really?
because it's actually really complicated to sing as a choir.
King
so
of
we sang
Kings,
it.
Lord of Lords, that
King
line.
of Kings and Lord of Lords.
That's in Hallelujah? Well, color me surprised. A reading from Maia.
Religious trauma.
Oh, I know we're probably 2/3 of the way through the episode, but I just got my new favorite bit.
Reading. Okay. In the early 1600s, there was some serious Reformation across Europe and led in part by Oliver.
The Protestant Reformation.
Yeah, Oliver Cromwell and his Puritan followers. In 1645, when they came into power, they vowed to rid England of their decadence, and this resulted in the canceling of Christmas. When Charles II was restored to the throne, the popular holiday also returned. So
I told you about this time in the 90s.
Yes.
Back in the 90s. You know that TikTok
sure.
person? Sure. Not an OG thing, I know. My mayor in my hometown
Okay.
canceled Halloween. Because what, we got like a foot of snow or something. And I was like, this is government abuse. Does God know about this?
Does God know about this?
This is government overreach in the worst kind of way possible. I'm 6 years old, dressed as a mud monster for the third year in a row.
That's
you can
so
see
funny.
all ankle. It's all ankle and all wrist because I have dramatically
Beautiful.
outgrown this outfit.
Yeah.
And
Was
I'm
it your
like,
second year wearing it?
Third.
Nice.
And I'm like, what do you mean Mayor Chris Beitler has canceled Halloween?
I did that as a red Teletubby. I was a very young child. I just wanted to be the red Teletubby.
Good. Did that Halloween also get canceled?
No, I just witnessed
so
the
my
red
story was
Teletubby
worse.
for 3 years.
Okay, so you mentioned
Oh, in
costume you
Colorado,
were
a
in.
foot of snow does not cancel
I
Halloween.
know, no. And so then after Mud Monster for like 4 years, I was the Scream, like killer from Scream. Turns out it's a dress.
Yeah,
like
it is.
I have apparently done drag.
You did just wear
Yeah.
a dress.
And who am I? The actor who will star as Shaggy in Scooby-Doo Spooky Island.
That's so funny.
I'm sorry. They're probably like, this is the worst episode ever. No theme. Grant says the most out-of-pocket stuff.
America. We've talked about Europe. Let's talk about America.
Okay.
Now we're in the 1600s. Grant, how religious were the original pilgrims to America?
Pretty religious. Pretty religious.
What was their relation to the English church?
The Puritans?
Yeah.
They were like
the
not
the
part
pilgrims.
of it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So imagine the English church is like canceling Christmas. This is too much.
Right.
So the even more religious people in America, they were separatists who came to America in the 1620s and were more orthodox in their beliefs than even Oliver Cromwell. And no Christmas was celebrated in
Right.
early America, for the most part. But in fact, Christmas was outlawed from 1659 to 1681 in Boston. Anyone, quote, exhibiting the Christmas spirit was fined 5 shillings.
I have read this book.
I've seen that play. However, the Jamestown settlement did apparently celebrate Christmas without incident. So I don't know what was going on there.
Oh, I can tell you. Can I give
yes,
you 30
yes,
seconds of
absolutely.
it? Okay, 2 completely different reasons
Yeah.
for venturing to North America for the English. Up in the New England area, Boston, Massachusetts, it is small communities of people fleeing. We call it religious persecution. They were the more extreme
they were
religion.
the religious
Right.
persecution.
They were like, everyone out here is celebrating Christmas, a celebration of our God. And we think that's messed up. So we better risk life and limb.
And move to a brand new continent.
Right. Further south, you have a completely different, solely economic venture with Virginia establishing itself, Jamestown. That's a colony that's like, you're there to make money and send it back to us ASAP. But here's the really interesting thing that still plays out today. The difference between those two communities. When you travel to New England today, that region is much more densely populated because those towns held families that grew very large,
Right.
and children would move away once the town couldn't hold itself, but
Right.
they didn't go very,
Very far,
far,
yeah.
right? And so that sense of community actually altered the way they established settlement. And then in
Interesting.
the South, which started off as an economic venture, small communities takes away from farmable and arable land.
Right.
And that means we need only a handful of cities, but for the most part, we need as much farmland as possible. And this
right.
is also a major reason why enslaved Africans are very quickly, 1619,
To the south.
introduced in Virginia and never really see a
Interesting.
larger element in the North. Sure, there might have been some morality element to it,
Yeah.
but the economic structures, because of the types of people that move to these two regions,
Were very
are so
different.
fundamentally different that it alters
Whoa.
the way they shape their communities, which changes their society, which drives their economic decisions, which today drove the 2024 election results.
Interesting.
The curse of my history education degree.
It's not a curse to the rest of us. It's a curse to you, though.
No, it's fine. I'm like, hey, clinical yapper here, certified, 2 degrees. Anyways,
Here's 60 seconds.
little bell.
Here's my little bell. Okay. After the American Revolution, English customs were obviously not really looked upon with any amount of favor, and that does include Christmas at this point. So Christmas was actually not declared a federal holiday until June 26th of 1870.
So the American people really did say, bah humbug.
Yeah, they really said no.
Till 1870?
1870. I mean, a little bit before that because it takes a while, but yeah, the 1800s. Isn't that wild?
Yes.
Because that's like almost livable memory.
Because Thanksgiving starts to establish itself under President Lincoln and then gets certified under President Roosevelt in the 1930s.
Yeah.
And so that's
We're talking like Coolidge era
Yeah.
where it becomes a thing. Yeah.
that's so interesting. That's so, because everything feels so set in stone.
Yeah.
But our culture is
It's
so
so
whiplash
dynamic.
wild.
Yeah. So, okay, in general, it wasn't until the 1800s that Americans even began to celebrate Christmas. They changed it from a ruckus carnival-like holiday to a very family-centered and on peace and like nostalgia. But why, Grant? Well, why is there any change ever in any society? Unrest. And I wrote
the Koch
this.
brothers wanted to influence a local election?
Kind of. I put asterisks and then eyes emoji. Unrest. Also, not only unrest, but notably around this time, there's a large influx of German and Irish immigrants that undermine a lot of that Puritan rule.
Right.
That said, we shouldn't be celebrating Christmas
Because they
way.
come in as either Catholics or Protestants, which are not Puritans.
And they also already have all of these like very storied pasts in the celebration of midwinter holidays
that
and
are
stuff.
like intertwined with their Roman Catholicism or elements of their Lutheranism inspired by the Roman Catholicism, but both of those branches have paganistic.
We're going to talk about this in a second. I just want to talk about this. Martin Luther is thought to be, there's a couple different stories about how this happened. Martin Luther is one of those stories. He's the first person to put lit candles on Christmas trees.
Hilarious.
Who the fuck?
He was a man of ideas, some good, some bad. And for those listening at home, no, we are not talking about Martin Luther King Jr.
No, Martin Luther is in Lutheranism, what we grew up in.
He nailed a series of complaints
Literally.
to the door of a Catholic church and started Protestantism.
Started a revolution, and now
right.
I had to memorize that throughout my entire elementary education.
And one Protestant religious branch is Baptist, and Martin Luther King Sr. was a Baptist preacher in the South, and his son, Martin Luther King Jr., whose name is in part inspired by Martin Luther. That's where it comes from. But Martin Luther and Martin Luther King Jr.
Not related.
But both pretty influential.
Yeah,
so
very different.
Glad you know them both.
Yeah, just so you know. Okay, so why is there social change? Why are we celebrating Christmas differently? It's partially because social unrest that I'll talk about in a second. Partially because an influx of immigrants from Europe, namely from German and Irish areas. So the social unrest. In the early 1800s, unemployment was high and civil unrest was widespread. And this is seen through gang rioting and the disenchantment of the people. And the disenchantment of the people is often highlighted around this winter time, whether or not it's because of Christmas.
What year are we talking about?
The 1800s.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the 1840s in a second. Yeah. But first, in 1819, Washington Irving writes the Sketchbook of Geoffrey Crayon Gentleman, I don't know, a series of stories about the celebration of Christmas in an English manor house. In one of those stories, a squire invites peasants into his home for the holiday, and despite the turmoil of the time, the two groups are able to intermingle effortlessly. In the book, the group enjoyed a lot of ancient customs of the holiday, including the crowning of the Lord of Misrule, like the early Christmas celebrations.
So basically, someone writes a short story about how fun Christmas could be. And everyone's like, well, that's exactly what I want. It's like all those TikToks of the Trader Joe's / Costco wine advent calendars.
And I'll be there.
It's like, I will count down to the birth of Jesus as well with you.
And get drunk.
I watched a 55-year-old mom and recent grandma last night learn about the Costco wine advent calendar for the first time. Yeah, because it's early December, so they're already sold out.
One of our early listeners, I'm not sure if she still listens, Kelsey Keel, she did that last year and like documented it on her story, and she hated quite a few of them, and her reviews were hilarious.
Good.
Anyway, this year I got an advent calendar for one of the first times. Guess where I got it from? It's like
Costco.
No, I got it from Nespresso. It's a different coffee pot every day. So good. 10 out of 10. Anyway, the book that I was just talking about. Washington Irving promotes the idea through this book that Christmas should be a warm holiday that blurs the line of social boundaries and social status, kind of reminiscent of Saturnalia.
I would also argue that that's definitely something that you still see today.
Yeah.
I think as much as we wish there was more of it, there is a spirit of charity. But even those with like sometimes the most severe religious trauma in our own social lives still celebrate Christmas.
Yeah.
That like there is still this element, at least today, where it's like there is religion, which Christmas is a celebration of.
Yes.
And there's community, which Christmas is a
also
celebration,
of.
And it's kind of a buffet. You can kind of pick and choose.
Yeah.
It was actually, I'm sorry, I know I'm pausing in the middle of the story. It was always really interesting teaching at my former school because so much was similar, but so much was different. Both because the religion most of my students was like Catholic, and I grew up Lutheran, and then also cultural differences. A lot of them's families like hailed from Mexico or other Central or South American countries, and so they all stayed up until midnight and opened up presents on Christmas Eve, like together as a family, and then like everyone kind of went to bed at like 2 a.m. and they would sleep in during Christmas. Radically different than what we would do.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like the way that like Christmas gets to be your own celebration, or like how many people do we know now who buy tamales during Christmas?
I forgot she was wearing that collar. It's really cute.
I think she also forgot she was wearing.
She was like, "Whoa, it jingles."
But you know what I'm talking about? Like how many, like even a decade ago, no one, I felt at least in our communities, was buying tamales, and now it's like a very common thing.
See, as soon as a door fucking closes, she loses her fucking mind.
Mo, come here. There we go. Keep going.
Okay. So in 1828, the New York City issued their first police response to a Christmas riot that catalyzed the altering of the way the holiday is celebrated in America. So there was like, because of that, all that social unrest, people were rioting around the Christmas time. She's so cute.
Has no idea what to do right now.
Yeah, no, she doesn't. That was so loud in my ear. That's the noise she makes when she's getting cozy. She does that in my ear when we're like cuddling up for a nap. It's really cute. Okay, now we're going to talk about the 1840s. This happens in the UK, but it does affect American culture. So in the 1940s, there's a tough time known as, quote, the Hungry 40s that's caused by a combination of a trade slump, an economic depression, mass unemployment, and repeated failed harvests leading to increased bread prices. She likes being held the other way, so her stump is up against you. Yeah.
She definitely has had a nervous fart already.
Yeah. Yeah, she does that.
It's very smelly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Then in 1943, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens comes out. And this story...
What year was that?
1843.
Okay.
Did I say 19? Okay. 1843. The story highlights the importance of charity and goodwill. Obviously, if you've read it or seen it or heard it. Also around this time, historians believe that families are becoming more sensitive to the emotional needs of children. For like a lot of reasons, but I think...
A project we haven't yet finished. Isn't that right, Maia?
I think also one of those reasons, though, is that because child labor was still a thing and quickly becoming a problem.
Children, too, need a day off from the mines.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that one of the reasons Charles Dickens wrote this was because he had seen some of the effects of child labor in like... in industrialization.
Are you talking about what is it? Little Timmy, Little Tim?
Something like that, yeah.
Is inspired by a real little orphan?
I think maybe, yeah.
Ooh,
yeah. So Christmas provides families with an excuse of sorts to kind of lavish their kids in attention and gifts without appearing to spoil them. And that kind of highlights that.
It might be I'm sorry, she keeps farting. I have to put her down. There's this joke. It might be from Ricky Gervais, who's kind of like controversial, but he was like, people go look at me and they go, "You're gonna spoil that cat," and it's like, yeah, it's a cat. It's not like he's about to become prime minister in 20 years.
I'm gonna open this fucking door. Otherwise, she's gonna
lose her mind.
Yeah. Okay. So that all kind of happens in the UK, but directly affects American culture for real. And so, for real. Directly affects American culture.
Good to know that it's all been fake so far.
Yep. So all of the above leads Americans to embrace the holiday and also start to kind of unearth the old customs of the holiday. So,
you mean the reason for the season?
Yes. So over the next 100 years, America will build their Christmas traditions as a mishmash of pieces of other customs from other areas around the world.
A beautiful melting pot.
A beautiful melting pot. These traditions that they kind of bring in that come from other places include things like decorating trees, gingerbread houses, sending holiday cards, and gift giving. The first Christmas tree lot will not open up until 1851. to give you an idea.
Okay.
Isn't that wild?
We used to always purchase our Christmas trees from the lot of a Dairy Queen that like they would rent out like spaces for like this
I
Christmas
saw
tree
a
farm.
man today purchasing his Christmas tree from King Soopers, and I was like, who purchases their Christmas tree from King Soopers? And then I realized I've never had a live Christmas tree in my life.
Ever? Even when you were a kid?
Mm-hmm. We've always had fake Christmas trees.
At my parents' home, we've never had a fake Christmas tree in the main room. It's always been real. It smells like evergreen. It's incredible. Anyway, so we'd always go get these real Christmas trees from a Dairy Queen store. And then we my family built an addition and the ceiling got bigger so we could get bigger trees. And so we went to like places where we could get bigger Christmas trees. And then as life goes, 10 years later, it's Christmas. I'm like visiting family and we drive by that Dairy Queen and I realize what it was. And the Christmas tree farm isn't there anymore. I'm not sure if the Christmas tree is gone because it's now a Mexican restaurant. I don't know what went first, the Dairy Queen or the Christmas tree. But there's a thriving De Leon's Mexican eatery there now.
That's fair enough.
Like, America, well, I've been afraid of changing. Landslide from the Dixie Chicks.
Saint Nicholas.
From the Chicks. Yeah. Right, cool. I'm back. I never left, actually. I just was in the corner.
Staring into the corner, I think. So who's the main guy of Christmas?
Singing podcast.
Saint Nicholas. Thank you, Grant.
Yep, you're welcome.
As we talked about kind of at the beginning.
Wait, the turkey guy again?
Yeah, the guy from Turkey.
The way you looked at me like I was talking about the food and not
that's
the
what
country.
that's what I thought you meant for a second. I was like,
you're like, Grant, literally no one has cooked in this entire episode.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So the thing about the Saint Nicholas is that he may or may not have existed in the capacity that we will now talk about him. The things that I said.
Wait, is Saint Nicholas your cheese caves? Where you convinced me at the start of the episode that he's real?
No. The stuff I said at the beginning was real. The stuff that we are sure about. The things that we are sure about St. Nicholas is his involvement in the church.
The 80% point of every queer little rom-com book I read. No, my feelings for you were real. The giant lie.
I just had to lie to you about all of my life up until this point.
Can I pause real quick?
The pause on top of the pause. Go for it.
Thanks. Has everyone been like, oh no, this sundae has too many toppings? Come on. Okay, so... And I love gesturing with my festive hand. The one with the scrunchie. Over Thanksgiving break, my parents and I watched Holiday Touchdown, a Chief Christmas story on the Hallmark. And it's the first time in years that I have seen a Hallmark movie, especially since this year of literature for me, which is focused on a lot of fictional queer romance. And so obviously I immediately start live streaming it to Maia. Funny. And 15 minutes in, I send to Maia in all caps, oh hell yeah, it's enemies to lovers trope. I'm so excited.
And my response was, that's so unrealistic. Their schedules are insane. I know. And then you explained to me the actual premise of the movie and I was like, I'm in.
That works.
Yeah, that works.
Son of a bitch. I'm in. And then I shared our entire conversation with my parents. Yeah. And my mom was like, oh. I was like, you don't get me. It's fine. I'm going back to Denver tomorrow. It's fine.
Don't make Teresa hate me before I meet her.
Oh, no, she doesn't. She just never really understands her son.
I mean, fair enough. Okay. Saint Nicholas. The only thing we're pretty certain about his... Finish it.
There's still half a bottle. It just is coming out slow.
Oh, it's because the aerator.
Right, but that's why I was checking.
It's doing its job. The only thing we're very certain to be true about Saint Nicholas is his involvement in the church in the 4th century. That's just as a precursor to the rest of what I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
He is born in 280 AD in modern day Turkey, but at the time he was born in a Lycian, Lycian, seaside town of Patera. When young, he traveled to Palestine and Egypt, and upon returning to his hometown, he soon became the Bishop of Myra. It's probable that he was imprisoned and likely tortured during prosecution of Christians by the Roman Empire, which was under Diocletian at the time, but then he would be released under Constantine the Great. And then he attended the Council of Nicaea in 325 that we already talked about, where he article I read where I first found out this information, he allegedly struck a man named Arius in the face. I was like, we're really being politically correct about this man that we're not even sure. Like
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Never proven in a court of law.
Don't come after me.
An angel did visit him,
Yeah.
so we're just presenting all the evidence.
Exactly. Following, he does die in the year 343 AD. The day is then established as a feast day for him and becomes a gift-giving and charity holiday in his memory. Now let's talk more about the rumors and legends surrounding St. Nicholas. There's a rumor that he secretly provided dowries for 3 poor sisters. He resurrected children killed by an evil butcher that we'll talk more about a bit later. He calmed storms at sea. He saved 3 men from execution. One legend talks of a young Christian boy who was captured and enslaved by a pagan king. The boy cried on St. Nicholas's feast day, remembering that his family would be celebrating back home. And then after the pagan king mocked the young boy for his faith, St. Nicholas appears and brought the boy back safely home to his family, where his family was inevitably feasting and celebrating St. Nicholas's feast day. I mean, this legend is problematic in like a number of ways because it like diminishes paganism and everything. But you can see how St. Nicholas gets this like Robin Hood-esque kind of legend around him as a protector and a giver. There are other ways that St. Nicholas is kind of presented. This is like the base, essentially. And now we're going to talk about how other countries kind of like elevated that into their own current understanding of Santa Claus as we know him. So in England, they don't necessarily have Santa Claus. They have Father Christmas. Father Christmas first appeared as a character in a 1616 play called Christmas His Mask. From here, he began making appearances in various illustrations, wearing many different colored robes, green, purple, blue, and brown. Today, Father Christmas very closely resembles America's Santa Claus, but the traditional Father Christmas still wears a green cloak, a wreath of holly or ivy, and then he carries a staff. In Spain, well-behaved children in Spain are visited by 3 men, not just 1 man, known as the Los Reyes Magos, aka the 3 wise men or magi. In preparation for El Dia de Reyes, aka King's Day, kids will write letters to their favorite magi. So Melchor, Gaspar, and Balthazar.
Matchmaker.
Yeah. So it seems like they maybe have their version of Santa Claus, but they more celebrate. Santa Claus. They more celebrate the Magi. In France, they have Père Noël, who does not wear a red hat, but instead wears a fur-lined hood attached to a fashionable long cloak. Very French. And instead of leaving out milk and cookies for him, children will leave carrots and treats for his flying donkey, whose name is GUI.
You think you know, sorry, coming this Christmas, you think you know everything there is to know about Christmas. Donkey!
The donkey's name translates
Wait, is that why
to
Donkey
mistletoe.
falls in love with that dragon?
God, I hope so. That's where this guy comes. The flying
donkey's
donkey.
name is Mistletoe.
It's Gui Guy.
Low key, kind of an absolute grubby pop name for a weapon of war.
Right, right.
Mistletoe.
In Germany, Santa has 4 different names in German tradition. I'm gonna try and pronounce this and fail horribly. I'm sorry. Weihnachtsmann.
It's probably like Nacht.
Sure.
Weihnachtsmann.
I also can't make that sound with my nose because I'm sick.
Nacht.
Yeah, it's
Your dad's German.
yeah, sure. I'm sick.
Oh, okay.
Weihnachtsmann. Sure. Translation: Christmas man.
Does it start off with a W?
Yeah, Wein.
Okay, thank you.
Weihnachtsmann. Klaus, Nickel,
Sorry.
and Niglo.
We spend 30 seconds workshopping Weihnachtsmann. Klaus.
Klaus, Nickel, and Niglo.
Niglo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are the 4 different names from German tradition. Germans will also celebrate Nikolaustag, aka St. Nicholas Day, on December 6th instead of the 25th. And that's a common thing we'll see in a bunch of different cultures, celebrating something on the 5th or 6th instead of the 25th. Instead of elves, the German version of Santa Claus has a crew of other cryptids to help him out. Aschenmann, Bartel, Busenickel, Hanstrop, Klaubauf, Belsnickel / Pelsnickel, which we'll talk about later, Ruklaus, and Nechtrupt. I'm not even going to try. I'm sorry.
But my
Ruprecht.
God, you gave it a good shot. You absolutely just shot your shot.
Thank you. Never talk about it again. And Grant, have you ever heard the term Kris Kringle as a term for Santa?
Absolutely.
Turns out this is actually a misinterpretation of the German term Christkind or Christkindlein, meaning Christ child.
There's a pastry at Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Called like a kringle.
Yeah.
Like a Danish kringle. Have you ever had one before?
So good.
It's, how does it say moist forever?
I don't know.
It's the wax paper probably, but like it's so
It's
good.
really good. It is good.
I have more stories to tell. I need to start making a list so I don't forget these.
So Kris Kringle is actually just a misinterpretation of a German word meaning Christ child. In Eastern Europe, the Christ kind was considered the gift bringer as areas moved away from celebrating saints like Saint Nicholas. The Christ kind can also be seen today in Eastern European cultures as a gift bringer who is very distinct and different from Santa. In Sweden Santa is described as, quote, dwarf-like and has origins in their folklore. On Christmas, one of the adults of the family will don a red robe and a tomte face mask and then distribute gifts to the kids. I saw a picture of the face mask and immediately said, nope, and then moved on. Scared me a little bit. The Netherlands. This is the Netherlands version of Santa Claus really directly influences America.
Okay. Wait, the Dutch version?
The Dutch version of Santa, aka Sinterklaas.
Okay.
Does that sound familiar?
A little, yeah.
Yeah, resembles our Santa. He wears a tall red bishop's hat and carries a jeweled staff.
Spoiler alert. The Santa for the Salvation Army, but they don't say Salvation Army because of trademark, in Holiday Touchdown, A Chief's Christmas. That Santa turns out to be real Santa, just so you know.
That's hilarious.
I call it like 35 minutes in. I go, oh my God, is that going to be real Santa?
If I watched enough Hallmark movies, that makes sense.
If I had to teach someone fundamentals of foreshadowing in English language, media, and literature,
Hallmark movies.
I would I'd be like, so notice how it's the same actor for both the flashback Santa and modern day Santa? That's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
There was an unlimited pool of older actors available on a Wednesday at 1 p.m. They made a choice. I'm sorry.
No, I get it.
I'm just having such a good time right now.
That was the goal. I'm so glad.
Good. I don't know if they're having a good time.
I don't care. I'm here for you.
A reading.
I mean, I love you.
From Maia.
We're halfway through the story.
Shut up. What? Oh, I thought we were in final thoughts.
No.
I'm yapped out.
Okay.
I'm going to listen.
Okay.
I kind of also have been remembering.
I'll let you know when you can yap more. There is one part that I really want you to yap for.
Okay.
Okay. The Netherlands.
I love you.
I know. The Dutch version of Santa, aka Sinterklaas, represents our Santa, or resembles our Santa. He wears a tall red bishop's hat, carries a jeweled staff. He rides into town on a white horse named Amerigo. And he knocks on each door.
What?
Yeah.
The way horses are up in Christmas in a way that I did not expect, you got to move it to him.
That was so nice.
It was so
That
dumb.
was fun. Okay, he knocks on each door to bring gifts to the good children. He's depicted as a serious and dignified man. Sinterklaas's feast is celebrated on December 5th, a holiday known as Sinterklaasavond, aka St. Nicholas's Eve. Children fill their shoes with carrots and hay for the horse and place them by the fireplace in hopes that Sinterklaas will thank them with a small gift or treat. The shoes thing is going to be a common thread. The Dutch also still celebrate Christmas, so they have this December 5th holiday.
Is that why we have stockings?
That was actually on my list of things to Google, and I didn't Google it. The common thread of shoes and stockings will come up a bunch.
Like, the ironic thing is obviously like stockings by a fire helps dry them out if they're wet from snow.
I'm sure that's the origin.
Right.
But I'm not sure why it became a gift thing. The Dutch still celebrate Christmas, so essentially the kids of Deutschland will get two Christmases, the December 5th and December 25th. The Dutch Sinterklaas heavily influenced other regional versions of Saint Nick, such as Father Christmas and the Germans' version of Santa Claus. In America, Saint Nicholas entered American pop culture in the late 1700s in New York because Dutch families gathered to honor the anniversary of the death of Sint Nicolaas, Dutch for Saint Nicholas, or Sinterklaas for short. Santa Claus was thought to be drawn from Sinterklaas.
Yeah, I could imagine that connection.
Crazy, right?
Because the word Santa doesn't actually have any meaning in English.
None. Yeah, and this one is Sinter, and then sometimes it's one word, sometimes it's two, but then Klaas. It's literally just Santa Claus if you say it fast.
A or AUS?
AA.
Okay.
Yeah. In 1822, Episcopal minister Clement Mark Moore wrote a poem called An Account of a Visit from St. Nicholas. This poem would eventually become more popularly known by its first line. Grant, do you know what the first line of this poem is?
It was the night before Christmas.
'Twas the night before Christmas.
Oh, yeah. I was joking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I did not
all
know
through the house.
that the name was not actually
A creature was stirring, not even a mouse.
mouse.
A reading by Grant.
The poem depicts Santa Claus as a jolly man who flies from house to house in a sled driven by reindeer to deliver toys, and thus the change from the Dutch's serious version of Sinterklaas to the jolly American Santa Claus was enacted.
Because of a poem?
Because of a poem.
Eat your heart out.
No, isn't that insane?
That's so gay.
I mean, that's one source, and I could be historically mistaken, but that's what I kind of gathered. In 1849, early illustrations showed Santa Claus in a fur hat, a jacket, and knee-length pants with boots. The immortalized version of Santa Claus, a man with a white beard dressed in red with a sack of toys.
I've been meaning to tell you this.
Yes.
It's coming sooner than I thought it would tell you.
Okay.
I am friends.
Yes.
With
Santa Claus?
a Santa. Yes.
Someone who plays Santa Claus?
Yes.
The mall? Oh my God, shut up.
Not the mall, special events. But he had started to grow out his beard in October. Not uncommon. This man usually keeps a beard, but hadn't trimmed it come November. And he's at the age now where it does turn naturally white.
Oh.
And then last time I was around him, I overheard him talking to somebody else. And he said, and I quote, I don't want the children to see Santa climbing into a Hyundai Sonata.
That would ruin the magic a little bit. That would ruin the magic.
And I was like, oh, that explains the beard.
Fair.
So fun.
That's so funny.
I kind of love being on this side of Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
Okay, so keep going.
No, okay, you're good. The immortalized version of Santa Claus, the man in a white beard dressed in red with a sack of toys, really began to resemble what we know today in 1881 when cartoonist Thomas Nast created the image of Old Saint Nick from Clement's poem.
Okay.
Thomas Nast is accredited also with mixing the original lore of Saint Nicholas with the more whimsical things from other folklores like elves that we see.
So the American Christmas is 100% fabricated.
Oh, yeah.
From not insidious religious leaders.
Like cartoons.
Or corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
Sears and Macy's didn't create the modern day Santa.
Nope.
It was someone wrote a poem.
And we liked that.
And then they were like, well, here's a picture. And everyone was like, yep.
Yes.
It's just crazy to
Literally, yeah.
Because those cartoons are kind of nostalgia era, even when they were created. So it's just kind of funny to think of people in the 1860s being like, yeah.
That's the one.
Remember when we had to churn our own butter? Let's get back to that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're all dying of typhoid. They have
It's
solved
insane to me that we're almost in the 1900s at this point.
What? Honestly, next time you see a depiction of Santa, I just want you to remember something. Humans are by nature sentimental creatures.
Yeah.
Which means even when people were dying of polio, they were like, wasn't it simpler back in the day? When people were pooping outside, they were like, wasn't it simpler back in the day when we were all pooping outside? There has never been a moment clearly in human history where we were all like, I'm grateful to live in this era. Everyone was like, I don't know.
When you and I are in Europe and we get back to air conditioning.
Oh.
That is
so true.
Distinctly one of the only very clear memories I have where I'm like, thank God for modern technology.
I'm always excited before I go to Europe. I'm always jazzed when I'm in Europe.
Yeah.
And then 12 hours before I leave that continent, I'm like, get me out of here. I will buy a gun like a conservative. I will join the NRA and believe windmills cause cancer if I do not feel 65-degree artificial air on my skin here in the month of July. Immediately.
Right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Someone get me some guacamole and a margarita. I can't be in this room anymore.
Yes. Okay, so Thomas Nast.
Right, we're talking about Christmas. Sorry.
Creates this. One source said 1881. There was another source that said like earlier in the 60s. I'm not sure which.
1860s though.
Yeah, 1860s. Okay. In 1930s, Coca-Cola really cemented Santa Claus as we know him now based off of Thomas Nast's depiction. There are rumors that Coke chose their signature colors based off of Santa Claus, but there is no basis to that.
Okay. Because I know one issue Coca-Cola was running into was that people weren't buying cold beverages when it was cold outside.
I'm sure they played upon Santa a lot, but I think they chose their colors some other way.
Because I mean, now you think of Coca-Cola in December, you think of polar bears.
Yeah.
Right.
Surfing.
Which is actually so perfect because it like reinforces the idea that Coca-Cola is cold and refreshing and Christmas. Unlike Dr. Pepper, which in the 1960s was like, try it warm.
No.
It's like, what did I pick you up off the garage floor in the middle of July? Like, no, thank you.
No.
And you know exactly what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, I do. Christmas cryptids. Let's talk about them.
I was wondering when we were going to get there. I was reveling in. I want you to know.
You're going to hate this and you're going to love this.
I know.
I'm so excited.
I actually thought
this is actually my favorite section.
I thought about you today at the gym. Because it's
weird.
Wednesday? And
you were doing hip abductions. I don't want you to think about me doing that.
No, not this time. I was running faster and at a much more intense.
I do want you to think about that.
Yeah, I was running faster at a much more intense elevation than any of the beefy men around me whose little legs are
Get a little competitive. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I know I'm last on the machines.
That's fine.
But I'm first in this department. I'm also actually pretty good at hip abductor. Like I am moving the weights. But anyways, Fox News, which is not something I ever watch willingly, but is somehow always on at every gym you've ever been to ever, was doing like a 40-minute segment on like a moving object in the sky outside of East Palestine, Ohio. And it was just like the most horrifically grainy picture of a plane you have ever seen in your entire life. And I thought of you because I was like, what a stupid cryptid. Maia would appreciate this moment.
I would. And I did. And now you're going to listen to it for the next however long. Yeah. So what is a cryptid, Grant? Can you define it?
Lead poisoning.
Well, damn.
I know a certain percentage of our listeners like does honestly believe, and there's room in this tent for you. You just also know I don't. I do not believe.
Can you give a definition of a cryptid though?
Kind of. Your brain naturally leading itself to the most illogical, fantastical conclusions possible for otherwise strange but natural events.
You're defining the reasons cryptids are made. What is a cryptid?
A reading from no, I'm kidding. And a supernatural-esque event.
Okay.
I'm giving you the answer you want, not the answer I hold in my heart.
I know, because the answer you hold in your heart was lead poisoning.
Right, because the answer I hold in my heart, you were like, again.
Try one more time.
I was like, oh, coach is going to make me run until I can do it right.
Yeah, it is. I am. According to Merriam-Webster, an animal, parentheses, such as Sasquatch or the Loch Ness Monster, end parentheses, that have been claimed to exist but never proven to exist. And then here is a quote from an author that was on the Merriam-Webster website. Contrary to popular belief, cryptids don't have to be supernatural, mythical, or even all that strange, though many popular creatures acquire these characteristics as their legends grow. So a cryptid could literally be you're scuba diving, you see something that has not been defined by science, but you don't take a picture. That's a cryptid until someone gets evidence of it.
Okay, so now's the time for me to ask the question that I've had for at least 4 days. So obviously Maia and I both have access to the podcast email.
Yeah.
And we're both...
I haven't read anything if you're asking that.
I'm not.
Okay, cool.
But we're both pretty good at not exploring emails that are not like kind of clearly for us.
Yeah.
So like 6 months ago, Maia got a subscription to the Washington Post. We get the notification in the email, and I know that this is like an article that she needs, and I should not go hunting for it. Like, I don't want to be told in the story. So like 4 days ago, we got like 3 emails. Because when you sign up for a new website, they're like, let us email you a whole bunch for the Botanica Encyclopedia. And when I looked at you at that Mob Boss Italian restaurant that we were at on Monday, I was like, what are you reading on Botanica Encyclopedia? And you were like, don't worry about it, Grant. Don't you worry about it. And I'm like, obviously I respected your artistic freedom, right? Like, you haven't read any of the interviews that I've done with actual subject material, but I am curious, is this what you got the Britannica for?
No. You want to know what I got Britannica for?
Yes.
The First Council of Nicaea.
Oh my God. When you're so
Eat
deep,
your words!
when you're so deep into the research, you'd honestly buy encyclopedias from a traveling salesman.
Yeah, it broke out to $3 a month. That's nothing.
I want you to know. I think you would make an incredible housewife from the 1950s.
I know that.
You would buy so many books from traveling salesmen, and I trust no one more than you to suspend meat in Jell-O.
See, that's where you're wrong. I would buy we'd have like 3 sets of encyclopedias and like 5 vacuums.
Your pink tree with silver tinsel is at a 45-degree angle.
Nothing would work the way that it's meant to. It would be so bad. Okay. So here's the age-old question. I mean, there is a kind of obvious answer, but is Santa a cryptid?
No, of course not.
Why not?
Because he was produced by corporate America.
He wasn't, though. We just talked about that.
No, he was produced by a poem that people liked, and then everyone was like, I did this fan art of him. Do we like it? And we were like, beautiful. That's fantastic.
But Santa Claus
is this Twilight? I love the fan art that you've created for this thing. And now we have Christmas. That's actually crazy that I've now managed to connect that in my brain, that Christmas and Twilight are, in the world of literature, the same thing.
That's your new fun fact
Especially
to tell at parties.
in this country.
Yeah,
when we were Puritans first.
A little bit. Okay, so
no, of course Santa's not a cryptid.
Yes, that is the correct answer. Yeah.
I was ready to fight.
No, it's because Santa isn't a cryptid, mostly because he's more so a folk hero, and because we know as adults that he is not real.
Sorry, is the jury out on cryptids if they're real or not?
I mean, mouse on a plane, babe.
Okay.
Mouse on a plane.
I'll respect that
Thank
belief.
you. Thank you.
That belief.
But to little kids, arguably,
sure.
he can be a cryptid, right?
Remember that story from a listener very early on of a person who dragged boards across the backyard snow to create the impersonation of Santa's sleigh?
No, I did not read that email.
But we read it together on
a
very,
don't remember it.
Legitimately first 20
really?
episodes
Okay.
kind of
I don't
thing.
remember that.
Yeah, it might have not even been from a listener, but like an "Am I the asshole" for making everyone believe Santa's real
So
or
funny.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Sorry, go ahead.
I lost my train of thought for like 2
I
seconds.
did too,
Yeah.
but I wasn't prepared for you to also. You never lose your train of thought on these kind of episodes, so I was like,
I'm like a little sick, a little wine tipsy.
I toss that out, and you go, yeah, and I go, in my mind, I'm like, make it make sense, Maia. Like that's not my job. I'm bump set, you're Spike. Like I don't know what
don't
you're.
give me that. I'm so bad at spiking.
Go Nebraska. I mean, at this point, we'll know how it went, but
I'm only good at bumping. I'm like mediocre at setting, horrible at spiking. Anyway, so while not always true, many cryptids come along with cautionary tales that are told from older generations to younger generations, much like the U.S.'s boogeyman that is told to younger generations as a reason to behave and not get out of bed past bedtime, because the boogeyman will live like under your bed, you know? So for example, here are 2 examples. One I just learned about. One is one of my favorite like legends cryptids. One is the black annis, Annis, Annis.
okay.
It's a cryptid who is said to live in the English countryside, specifically the Dane Hills.
Is it Agatha Christie's?
That'd be so funny. She rests in a cave during the day. Her home, parentheses, the cave,
Nice. Good.
is decorated
parentheses.
with the bones of her victims. At
Oof.
night, she emerges to hunt. She feeds on human flesh, specifically the flesh of children. And throwback to my QAnon episode, much like the deep state, She prefers the children to be scared. I thought that was funny.
I'm concerned about what the internet's going to suggest for you on YouTube.
Oh, I've been scared about that for a while.
Okay,
I'm over it.
okay.
She's described having corpse-like blue skin, iron claws, and clothes made from the skin of her victim. So obviously getting children scared, not a problem
What's
for her.
her name?
Black Anise.
I have never heard of this.
I hadn't
cryptid.
either, yeah. I think it's very local
Okay.
to the area. You can tell she's nearby by the sound of chattering teeth and footsteps, and that's your only warning you have to hide. While the roots of
Hide.
hide,
Okay.
run, hide. While the roots of this cryptid can be traced to many different things, the cautionary tale that parents tell their children is that they shouldn't venture out in the dark alone, or else they could face the Black Anise.
Yeah. Correct.
Yes.
Or be hit by a car.
Yeah.
But yeah, also yes.
Yes. The other cryptid, this is one of my personal favorites that I find like fascinating, is the Night Marchers. Have you heard of this?
No, but I love the sentence. One of my personal favorite cryptids is this one.
It's not just one cryptid. It's like a group, but it's from Hawaii. It is a legend passed down from generation to generation. They go by many names, and I'm not going to do the dishonor of trying to pronounce the other names that they go by, but they're a ghostly procession of ancient Hawaiian warriors. Allegedly, they march across and around the islands to protect their most sacred spots. And you'll know the procession is coming by the sound of beating drums, maybe a flute playing, conch shells jingling.
Which would be terrifying in the middle of the night.
Yes. Or I think sometimes I've heard that they come like in like dusk time. So like not just the middle of the night, but
Okay.
or you'll also see a line of fiery torches moving away or towards you or whatever. If the procession lays eyes on you, it is too late to run at that point. And so you're supposed to bow and not make eye contact. And if you make eye contact, they then have the option to kill you. Other ways to save yourself could include, one, sharing an ancestor with one of the members of the procession.
Okay.
So like indigenous Hawaiians are more than likely going to be safe from them, but like tourists, probably not. Or bowing to avoid eye contact during the duration that they pass, or to be super safe. I thought that was kind of funny. Strip naked and lay face down on the ground.
What? Because all of them so far is about like ancestral respect.
Yes. This one I think is just to be like, play
It's
all
a
your
little
cards
freaky.
super safe, make yourself the most vulnerable, and ensure you don't make eye contact.
Okay, so now I need to ask a crucial question. What do these got to do with Christmas?
No, these are just examples of cryptids embedded in cautionary tales.
Okay.
And that's what,
okay.
and then I'm going to get into Christmas cryptids.
Okay.
So, and then the other option that you have is if you recognize that they're coming, you hear those sounds, you run and hide and don't be in the area when the procession passes by.
Right.
Unlike the Black Anise, the Night Marchers don't have ill will towards you unless your motive is to disrespect or harm the islands and their
Sure.
sacred spaces. So obviously this cautionary tale is not just to children, but is also to tourists. And the
Tourists
cautionary
and
tales
adults, yeah.
is to not be out at night and to be not disrespect the culture and the land of the islands, which I
Okay.
think is really fascinating and like interesting. So regardless of whether or not Santa Claus is a cryptid, he does connect to a cautionary tale. You forgot where we were, didn't you?
A reading.
From Maia. If you're not good, or whatever your elders deem as good, then you don't get presents, you'll get coal, right?
Right.
That's generic Santa Claus.
Super important in these energy economy prices.
Yes. So let's talk about other Christmas cryptids. Krampus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't there a horror movie about this?
Yes, there is.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Krampus originates in Central Europe, European pop culture, specifically Germany. The name Krampus is believed to have been derived from the German word Krampen, which means claw. Krampus is described as half goat, half demon, who punishes misbehaving children around Christmas. He's believed to be a son of Hel, Hel, not H-E-L-L. H-E-L is a Norse god of the underworld. He's closely intertwined with the legend of Saint Nick. Krampus and Saint Nick will both arrive on December 5th, and like together they will judge children to be good or bad. So Saint Nick will reward good children with presents, and Krampus will beat the bad ones with branches and sticks, or even sometimes eat them and take them to hell.
It's like that scene from the Lizzie McGuire movie where she performs with the Italian
Yes.
singer,
And then the
who's
cord
also
goes out, yeah.
still Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Duff. good. Someone make that into a sticker. Someone make that into a sticker.
You know where I was going, and I cannot recover from that,
That was
because I'm now
so
imagining
good.
Hillary
Hillary
Clinton
Duff.
and her little kitty
Hillary,
hill
yeah.
going, "Hey now,
Hey
now."
This is what dreams
I don't
are
do a
made
good
of.
Hillary impersonation, but oh my god, hilarious.
That was iconic. Okay. So, Krampus might also forcibly stuff the children into a sack so he could drag you back to his lair and eat you and make you repent for your sins. On December 6th, the day after, children will either wake up to find gifts or to nurse their injuries. Festivities.
What?
Yeah, this is my favorite.
You'll wake up with presents or bruises?
Something like that, I guess. I don't know. Festivities include Krampuslauf, aka the Krampus Run, where people dress up as Krampus and parade through the streets, scaring and chasing spectators. Obviously, a lot of alcohol is involved in that.
Good.
Yeah. Krampus became increasingly popular in the 20th century as there was an effort to preserve culture. Krampus has also become a global phenomenon and likely a result of the commercialization of Christmas. And there's been a horror movie about him. There's a lot. The Belschnickel. I don't know about you, but I kind of thought the Krampus and the Belschnickel were kind of the same thing.
I've never heard the phrase Belschnickel in my entire life.
I haven't seen that episode of The Office where Dwight
No.
dresses up as the Belschnickel.
No.
There's an episode of The Office where they realize that they've forgotten about their Christmas party. And so Dwight's like, can I dress up as the Belschnickel? And then he runs to his car and dresses up as the Belschnickel and then comes back. It's amazing.
What is a Belschnickel?
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
So it can be also known as the Bellschnitzel or the Pelsnickel. Bells translates to fur, and then nickel is a reference to St. Nicholas. He's described as wearing a face smeared with charcoal and wearing dirty, tattered clothing. He might even wear bits of foliage, fur cloaks, and hats or deer antlers. Unlike Krampus, the Belschnickel travels alone without St. Nicholas, and usually 1 to 2 weeks before Christmas to check on the behavior of children. He carries with him a switch for naughty kids. He also carries like a sack full of cakes, candies, and nuts for the well-behaving kids. Instead of traveling through chimneys, he raps on the windows with his switch. When he arrives, kids are called to answer questions for him, recite a Bible verse, or sing him a song. In exchange, he will throw cakes, candies, and nuts onto the floor. If the kids are too greedy in getting those cakes, candies, and stuff, or they're unable to recall their good deeds from the year, Belschnickel will threaten to swat their hands with the back of his switch. The Belschnickels
Like a blade?
No, it's like kind of sticks.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like a small whip, kind of. The Belschnickel is a reminder to kids that they still have time to get on the nice list before Christmas. This tradition is brought by German immigrants to places like Pennsylvania, like Dwight, who is Pennsylvania Dutch,
Okay.
and to New York. It is still celebrated heartily among Pennsylvania Dutch, but worldwide, the Belschnickel faded a lot after World War II.
Always good to remember that even if your ancestors trace their roots back to the same country, that those countries were also big and diverse with different things. I know for a fact my German relatives come from the north of Germany. I've never heard of Belschnickel once in my entire
That's so funny.
life.
Have you heard of Krampus?
Only from cultural memory,
okay.
things like that.
Okay. Here's the next one. This is
Heard of Martin Luther? Does that count?
No.
Okay.
This next one is of Celtic origin.
Okay.
This is the Mary Lloyd. It's spelled Marilwyd. Its meaning is either grey mare or grey Mary. It's a horse cryptid based in Welsh folklore.
We gotta leave the horses alone. Like, we gotta leave them alone.
When you said the horses, I was like,
Yikes.
yes. It's described in one listicle as the Christmas zombie horse. You'll see her depicted as a hobby horse. Do you know what that is?
A horse you have as a hobby as opposed
like,
to a working horse?
do you remember the Finnish thing I told you about?
Where it doesn't exist?
It's the horse head on the stick, the pogo stick, kind of, that you kind of fake
Oh, and
right
then
on.
it's a sport.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So-
So you've just told me so much. Period.
Yeah.
That, I'm like, you're gonna have to be a bit more specific.
So Mary Lloyd will be depicted as a hobby horse, so the head of a horse on a pole, but the horse head is a skull, and the eyes are either like ornaments or lights, almost like Lucifer.
But it's not alive.
It's not alive, no.
Okay.
So this is what the people do to like bring her back to life, kind of like our
Put her to rest, babe.
but like our mall Santas is what this is. And Mary Lloyd is Mary Lloyd is not a bad cryptid. Maybe originated in like more negative things, but now when she's brought around, it's more of a positive thing. The mane is of streamers, a holly or ivy, and she wears a white cloak.
It's a party disco horse.
Kind of.
With disco balls for eyes?
Kind of. Yeah. So
gay, but nice.
Yeah. So this can be a hobby horse or someone wearing a costume. And if it's a person wearing a costume, the white cloak will kind of go over them so you can't see them. I'll show you a picture in a second. Mary Lloyd's origins can be related to other pale-colored horses in Celtic and British folklore and mythology. Given that one of the translations of Mary Lloyd is Grey Mary instead of just Grey Mare, some historians have connected her history to the Virgin Mary, saying that when the Virgin Mary was put in the stable behind Bethlehem, they actually kicked out a pregnant horse.
Oh, what?
And she's been wandering around forever trying to find a place to have her baby.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know, but I had a place, but the baby Jesus took it, so I've been. It's hard to find another place that's like that.
So now she's going around searching for a place, and so the kind of thing is she'll knock on doors, and then if you let her in, you get blessed.
I hate this. I hate this. I hate it, and it's nonsensical.
Other historians believe Mary Lloyd's origins predate Jesus and have pagan roots, which personally makes more sense to me. The first written record of Mary is...
Skeleton disco horse asking for help sounds pagan to me.
Yeah, right. The first written record of Mary is a tour through part of North Wales written by J. Evans in 1800. So these are two pictures. I mean, you can scroll if you want. They're just notes. But...
Oh, nope. Thanks there. What? Also, why does it look like a party version of Mother Teresa?
Yeah, like kind of, right? Like it's a party animal. And this is like the group that goes with the horse.
It's the worm from SpongeBob. Yeah. I don't know how else to put it.
Right, okay. So Mary Lloyd is taken around the village between Christmas and the 12th night, which is like January something, early January, and will traditionally engage in a ritual called Pawnca, Pwnco, where rude rhymes are exchanged with the tenants of the house. It's like a battle of the wits kind of thing with her. Now it seems like it's more common that it's like a caroling thing. They'll come and sing carols.
So they lost the word battle a couple times, and they're we're just singing songs now.
I think it's time to like...
We're not doing the insult thing anymore.
I've used this word later, like kind of Disney-fy to make it more family friendly. If the Mary and her group get entry to the home, the house is supposed to have good luck for the following year. But the Mary is known to be a little bit mischievous, and so she will like playfully try to steal things and chase around the people that she likes in the house.
I had an aunt who did that once.
Maybe she was a dead zombie Christmas horse.
I mean, she's still alive, but I mean, let's not,
let's rule it out.
Let's stop confining elder women to roles.
Exactly.
Let them play whatever they want. But my aunt would come to your home, and if she liked a decoration you had, you should keep an eye on it.
Because it's gone.
You should watch it.
So this particular tradition had its fair share of people calling it sinful during the kinds of periods where paganism was considered like less than ideal. And then there were fewer and fewer people engaging in the tradition, but it seems like it's on its up and up following the 1960s and can now be seen at many local midwinter events in the Celtic kind of areas.
Okay.
The next one, Père Fouettard. I don't know. It's French. So you remember Père Noël of France?
I do, of course, remember them.
Yeah, sure. So this is the Krampus-like counterpart to Père Noël or Saint Nicholas.
Okay.
In a region of France specifically called Lorraine, which borders Germany. Mm-hmm. His job is to punish naughty children. He appears in villages.
Pretty common theme.
Yep. He appears in villages alongside Saint Nicholas on December 6th.
Also pretty common theme, both who he pairs with and the date.
And he punishes disobedient or lazy children, or even those who don't want to recite their prayers, lest they be carried away by Père Fouettard on his big sack and or hood.
Who are they, Ron DeSantis? Lazy children won't pray. Ron DeSantis has something to say.
Yeah. So this is from a woman who remembers a visit from this particular cryptid, or like someone dressed up as the cryptid that came to her school in the 60s. Quote, he was holding a whip, which we were told he would use on naughty children. To my great relief, I never personally saw Père Fouettard do that, but I can tell you that we behaved like altar boys in his presence. We tried not to pay too much attention to his jeers. We had to contain our fear. Luckily for us, St. Nicholas was there. So sometimes he's generous, and instead of whipping a naughty child, he will give them coal. Ready for this, Grant? He will give them coal, onions, peppers, beetroot, or other vegetables a child would hate.
So he'll give them a smoothie that you'd pay $12 for.
My next note, Tyler would love that.
And Tyler's always kind of naughty.
Yeah, exactly. So, he's approaching by the sound of chains, whips, bells, and boots and hooves scraping the ground. The legend goes that 3 little children who were once lost in the forest found hospitality in the house of a wicked butcher. Once asleep, the butcher cut them into cubes and put them in a salt cellar.
Hey, this is me now letting you know that the next thing Maia's going to say is going to be pretty gross. We can go ahead and move that section to right before what you just said. I'm typing up notes for Patreon, and then you're like, their arms were cut off. Their legs were cut off.
Get.
A reading from Maia. That is what we get.
Yeah. Years later, St. Nicholas visits the butcher and makes him confess, and the butcher's penance is to now help St. Nicholas on his rounds, and therefore he becomes this cryptid Père Fouettard. The next one. La Befana in Italy. January 6th. In Italy, January 6th is considered the Feast of Epiphany, so that's the end of the 12 days.
Okay.
On January 5th, before going to bed, another thing with shoes, children across Italy will hang their socks along a chimney in hopes that La Befana will fill them with sweets if they were nice. If they were deemed naughty, La Befana would leave hard black candy called carbone, aka charcoal,
black licorice, yeah,
in there as a reminder to do better. Families will leave out brandy and a little bread and cheese for La Befana instead of milk and cookies.
Drunk, then sober yourself up.
Yeah.
You gotta drive home.
Yeah. The legend goes that La Befana is an elderly woman of modest means at the time of Jesus' birth. The Magi stopped at her house asking for directions to Bethlehem and then for food and shelter. In exchange, they asked if she wanted to come along to meet the baby Jesus. And she initially said no because she had a lot of housework to catch up on.
So real.
Same. But later that night, she was woken up by a bright light and decided that was a sign to follow the Magi. But she lost her way and could not find the Magi or Jesus. So every year on the eve of the feast, La Befana takes to the skies to resume her search for Jesus and stops at each house, leaving treats for the children in hopes that baby Jesus is among them.
So she's Santa?
Kind of, but like not, because it's like in early January.
It's so fun because it's so clear at this point that so many of these wires got crossed.
Very crossed,
and so
right?
it's like everyone kind of has their own take on like 6 to 18 different stories that kind of get
happen
shared
between
around.
like 20 days in the winter.
Yeah.
There's Babushka that is like basically the same legend as La Befana, but it's Russian in origin.
Babushka, you have no beets to feed your child. Babushka.
Yes.
And it's a cat with a little towel. Have you seen it?
Yes,
okay.
I have. Yeah.
Okay. Continue.
But Babushka, instead of being Italian, it's Eastern Russian, and then instead of treats left in stockings, it is like small toys.
Okay.
And it's on the feast. It's on the eve of Christmas instead of the eve of the feast. This next one, this is the Icelandic one. This is one of my favorites.
Okay.
The Santas of Iceland are not the jolly men we know in the U.S., but rather 13 filthy trolls.
I was ready for you to say Greta Thunberg.
Known as the Yule Lads.
13 filthy trolls?
That was direct
I've met them.
quote.
They're friends with Tyler, right?
Who are led by their mother, Gryla, who is a giant who feeds on children.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Outside of the wintertime, apparently they
I just
hide
love
in the
that
mountains.
children either get wonderful toys they did not have to earn or eaten in all of these stories.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to skip some of this because some of it's like the exact same. But essentially it's like, so parents will tell their cautionary tales to the kids. But this one is a little bit more serious. Like people argue that like this cautionary tale is pretty real. Like don't go outside alone at night because in Iceland it's 20 hours of night. And actually it's
You'll get lost.
It's a very realistic outcome that a children leaves and doesn't come back.
Right, you get lost, you freeze to death. We find you during the 4 hours of daylight.
And so that gave a lot of fodder for this idea of Gryla, who also ironically has the Yule Cat. I don't know if I have the name of the Yule Cat, but the Yule Cat doesn't just eat naughty children like Gryla does. Sorry. Gryla eats naughty children. I should have said that. Gryla will collect them all up in a sack and cook them in a pot to make a giant stew that she eats for the next year.
Good soup, but still crazy.
Yeah, she shares her mountain cave with a large black cat called the Christmas Cat or the Yule Cat, which also eats children, but it also eats children who do not get new clothes to wear for Christmas, which historians think was like motivation for families to finish like spinning their wool and stuff before the like dark days of Christmas came.
Okay.
Gryla lives with her husband, a troll by the name of Lapauladi, who is well whipped, probably because the rumor is that she ate all of her previous husbands, and so he is of no use in getting her to change her ways.
So there's this mountain woman who eats children, a cat who eats the children's soup, and this helpless man in the corner?
This like other troll who's like, I'll eat the soup, but please don't hurt me.
And he's head troll of the 13 trolls.
I'm not sure.
Is he a 14th troll?
No, he doesn't come out like the other 13 do. So the other 13 come out day by day.
So the 13 trolls are work friends, and then she has a husband at home.
Yes. Well, no, the 13 trolls I think are her children.
Honestly, so good to see a mom spend individual time with her children. So important for your middle children.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
In regards to the Yule lads.
Yeah.
Ready.
Yeah.
The Yule lads, each are unique in their own way. And there's like the 12 days of Christmas. So each one will come out. So the first one comes out and will be out the entirety. And then the second one comes out the day after and will be out the entirety minus that one day, and so forth and so on. Here are the Yule lads.
So on the 13th day, there's 13 of them out?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Here are the trolls. They are all described as enormous, filthy, unintelligent creatures who could come out at night because the sun who can only come out at night because the sun casts them into stone.
Okay.
And this is a common thing in Iceland. When we were there, there's tons of folklore about like trolls that then become stone in the day.
During the day.
So this one, I'm so sorry about these pronunciations. Sekjastur.
Icelandic is like an infamously difficult language.
Oh yeah, I'm guaranteeing you I'm butchering this. I'm gonna do a vague pronunciation and then the translation that I was given. Sheep code Claude,
Oof.
who harasses sheep. He comes out December 12th and is out December 12th through the 26th. This is kind of dangerous because sheep are like obviously the lifeblood of the Icelandic community. The next one who comes out December 13th is Jill Jaguar. That's how it's spelled. It's not how it's pronounced, I'm sure. Gully Gawk, who steals any available milk. And milk is a crucial ingredient for Icelanders for their like holiday sauces and any other foods, and their skyr, which is like one of their big foods that they eat. It's like their version of Greek yogurt, essentially. The Stuffer, the next one, comes out December 14th. His name is Stubby. He steals household pans, which is rough because Iceland has no iron reserves, and so pans are like really valuable to families. The next one is Thuvoslikir, spoon liquor. Comes out on December 15th. So he'll come in and lick the spoons clean, and this is an effort to make sure kids clean their cutlery.
He'll come in and just lick it? Like a clean spoon, he'll be like, licked, put it back?
Yeah.
What?
This next one comes out December.
No, we gotta pause for a second.
They get weirder.
No, I know, but because before they get real weirder, I need to say this. That troll feels like our U.S. Constitution's Third Amendment.
Like,
do you know what the Third Amendment?
Do
you know what the Third Amendment is?
I don't remember. No.
The Third Amendment is first one is like freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of assembly, freedom of petition.
Yeah.
Second one
freedom
is
of arms.
Freedom of arms. Third one is no one can stay at your house if you don't want them there. And it's like, whoa, man. Like, okay.
Someone that was mad at a guest.
Yeah, like, yikes, you know? It's like officially like the U.S. government can't force you to house soldiers in a home you're still living in.
Yeah.
That's what this third troll already feels like. The fact that they're going to get weirder is wonderful, but it immediately feels like that. Like they overshot.
This is so funny. Potaskefil is the fourth one. He comes out December 16th. Pot scraper. He eats whatever is left in pots and trays.
So he helps eliminate food waste? He's raccoon.
This is to motivate kids from leaving food waste because they don't want the troll to enter their house. It's to encourage kids to finish their meals. The next one who comes out on the 17th is Askelekir, the bowl licker. He waits beneath the beds of children to finish their nighttime soups and puddings from the Askur. The bowls are special carved bowls with lids, and this is an effort to keep kids, to encourage kids to go to sleep when asked and to not indulge in a midnight snack.
Have you seen the Ben Platt?
This next one is so funny. Sorry.
Have you seen the Ben Platt movie Theater Camp? One, it's good. It's basically a documentary, but it's not. At one point, one of the two main characters, whose name is Rebecca Diane, and when I found out that her name was a 2-part hyphen first name, I was like,
yeah,
they went to theater camp.
Yeah, they did.
They went to the source of it all, okay? But Rebecca Diane has to write the closing number for the musical they're writing together, and she kind of puts it off, and eventually Ben Platt's character is like, well, what's the song? Like, we need to hear the song, right? And so the lyrics, the two opening lyrics is, girl with an open snapple, a boy who's looking down.
It's
and
like
that's
the
what these trolls feel like, yes. And then like the main chorus is camp isn't home, but is it kind of, is it? I think it kind of is. And then, of course, like, it's a full circle moment. That's what these trolls are. It's just what they're seeing in the... And this over here is the troll that closes doors that you left open. And on the 10th day, any room that you are in that you didn't turn the lights off in, it turns them off and licks it for some reason. Turns it off with the tongues.
Say what you just said before the lights.
Closes the door that you left open.
Herdaskillier is the door slammer.
I hate that so much. I mean, I obviously don't. I think that's lovely and hilarious and wonderful, but what the hell?
He comes out on the 18th. Literally, we'll just go around and there's no cautionary tale. He just goes around slamming as many doors as he can.
I just love the idea of like the 13th troll being like, and the 13th troll tells your mother she's beautiful, so if you don't want a step troll dad, you better say nice things to your mom. Yeah, that'll do it. Write that down. Write it down right now. Like these ideas had you know, hold on, let me point to it. Let me find it on the sign. Let's go ahead and get that thought fully baked. I love having a sign I can just point to now.
I should have put it on my side. So the next one who comes out on the 19th, Skirgamur, is the skier gobbler. So he'll gobble the rest of the yogurt that they're known to make in Iceland. Bjorn Grekir, the sausage snatcher. He comes out.
I'm familiar with this troll. I'm a reading from Grant.
Well, 2 trolls from now is the meat hook. So save it.
Gross.
So the sausage snatcher comes out on the 20th. He'll break in and hide in the rafters and wait for dinner to be cooked, and then swoop down to snatch any smoked sausages.
And what's the lesson there?
Eat your sausages?
Smoked sausages is a summer dish.
No, I think it's like these are all things that they really value, so it's really just like trying to get people to like consume.
To also value it?
Yeah, I don't know. This next one.
There's plenty of trolls out there that would happily eat that smoked sausage.
Yeah, literally.
Put it with your you know, and your yogurt.
The skier.
Did you clean that spoon? You know who licks them if not. And then, of course, there's the one that eats children.
The mother of them all and her cat.
It's like, I'll eat children, but then my children will eat your plain Davani yogurt.
The skier's actually really good.
I love the idea of the first one being like Dakota Johnson, and then 4 trolls down, it's just Jamie Lee Curtis with the yogurt that regulates your bowels. Activia, I think.
Yes, yeah, Activia. Okay, the next one comes out December 21st, my birthday.
December 21st isn't your birthday.
My half birthday.
There we go.
Glugagagir, the window peeper. It's meant to keep children from going out into the dark alone.
I just imagine, like at this point, some of these trolls are on local access television
Yeah.
with like an ill-fitting suit, and they're like, "Are you tired of seeing trolls staring through your window? Call today for 20% off.
On your blinds.
Right, call now."
Okay.
And then it's just the 12 other trolls holding their thumbs up behind them. We're a family business. Da 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 da. I went home for 5 days and watched more cable television with my parents than I have the rest of the year. And I forgot what a beautiful art form it is.
So funny. Okay.
I also, my little festive hand sleeve has actually come in handy so many times.
Okay, the third to last troll comes out December 22nd. It's a gat to the fur.
It's a cat with fur. That's it. And it's a lesson about cats. Memories.
You could not guess what the next words out of my mouth.
You're right. I already know I would not be able to guess it.
The doorway sniffer. So the website I read was like, he has a larger nose that is already common in like his species. And he sniffs at the door for his favorite snack, the Laufebrot, the leaf bread, which is only baked during Christmas time. Oh wait, this is so funny. There are delicate patterns decorated onto the thin fried bread, and he'll steal it before you can impress any of your guests.
I'm just like, imagine being a frat house and being descended upon by 13 goblins who are like, "You didn't close your blinds or hide your bread. Look at how dirty these yogurt bowls are. Of course we'll lick them clean." You know, it's like a full, like essentially the goblins are leaving these frat houses cleaner than when they entered them. And the frat brothers are like, "We gotta have someone on door. There's no bread in the house." And so then the second frat brother goes, "Let's get this bread, I guess."
Yeah.
I can build worlds instantly.
Okay, the next one. Ketgroker, the meat hook, comes out December 23rd.
I don't like that name.
I don't either. He lurks behind doors, under tables, in cupboards, outside
They're
windows.
all lurking. They're
know.
all lurking in the same spots.
And he waits for any meat dish to be unattended or for the family to be asleep and the meat dish to still be out. And then he'll take his long hook
Gross.
and snag it.
Gross.
The website made sure to differentiate that this guy doesn't care if it's smoked sausage or not.
I also
and the other guy only wants smoked sausage.
That's why they got to send the other guy out first. Make sure he gets all the smoked sausage.
Exactly.
And then the remnants. I also think it's funny because like these traditional, and I obviously don't know anything about traditional Icelandic architecture, but I want to talk like I do. In my mind, it's a room. It's one room. It maybe there's like an annex in the like ceiling because heat rises where they all sleep.
Well, there's rafters.
Right,
so.
right. Exactly.
For the sausage stealer.
Right. So I'm like, how are you leaving out all of these things? I once lived in a studio. Okay, you got to put the shot glass away, or you're gonna wake up at 4 a.m. smelling Fireball. Okay, and that's not what anybody wants. Okay.
This is the last
No,
troll.
I'm not done, and I'm sorry. Because now I'm actually talking about Icelandic traditional architecture from 1,000 years ago. We will find cabins, like old cabins from yesteryear, preserved like in hillsides or whatever, when like the earth grew around it and kind of captured everything. Sorry, I can hear my bell. And when archaeologists go in and find it, they find all of these swords like in the rafters of these places. And all these male anthropologists are like clearly weapon important to early people. And then like the one woman in this group of anthropologists is like, "Oh, you don't want a kid to grab it? Like, what do you mean?"
We're keeping it dry.
Sorry, I just put the sharp knife in a place a toddler can't reach. Like, it's not all belief system. Some of it is like the child can't be eaten by the sausage goblin tonight.
Not tonight.
Not during not when the leaf bread and smoked salmon is so ready to go.
Okay, this is the last one. He comes out December 24th, which means there's like about like 2 days, day and a half where all of them are out.
Good.
Kurtasnikir, the candle stealer. So candles are obviously very necessary for Icelanders, making it through the 20 hours of darkness before electricity and all
It's
that.
okay if candles are also really important to you.
I mean, they
obviously.
are important to me in general. So he'll go through and steal them and keep them from their favorite hobby,
Burning?
reading.
What?
The Icelanders keep them from reading.
Sure.
Have you heard about this?
No, I couldn't imagine sleeping after a meal of yogurt bread and smoked sausage, but I'm not Icelandic. I couldn't imagine being like I'd sleep instantly.
There's a Christmas Icelandic tradition that now that you're super into books.
Oh, yeah, to exchange a book.
Yeah, every Christmas Eve they'll gift each other books and they'll all read, and it's actually like very common knowledge now that Iceland is one of the most literate countries in the world. They read the most. Like it's on average, every person reads like 2.4 books a month.
Wow.
Yeah. And so their Christmas Eve tradition is to sit around and read the books that they've been gifted while drinking like hot cocoa and like not even like read to each other, but just read together, which I love. So anyway, the worst part of this particular troll, per the article I read, is that he doesn't even steal the candles to use them. He steals them to eat the tallow that the candles are made.
Gross.
And then the way he'll steal them is he'll follow the children or whoever into their bedrooms or reading nooks and rob them straight out of their hands.
Like, hi, I'm a goblin. I'm grabbing it out.
He also only has 2 days compared to his other brother.
Hook. I just take it right now.
Yes. And so in present days, all of these trolls have kind of been Disneyified.
Right.
And they're all kind of depicted in like fluffy white beards and smiles, and they'll all like present gifts instead of stealing things. And so this troll, or like the 13th day or whatever, kids will most likely be gifted a candle to represent the candle stealer.
Okay.
Which is cute. That's Iceland. This is the last one of the cryptid section. And we're nearing the end, kind of. Female Krampus, which is not a good name, but I thought it was the best way to introduce her. Depending on the location in Central Europe, she is known as Frau Faste, Gode, Herke, Stampe, Faste, Frau Hol, Berkta, and then the most common name is Frau Perchta. Perchta, sorry. She's also known as the Christmas Witch.
Okay.
She is described as a woman with a beaked nose made of iron, dressed in rags, carrying a cane, and hiding a long knife under her skirts.
So she's terrifying.
Yes, kind of. What I'm about to describe is terrifying for sure, but one we get to later is not so much. If your house is not scrubbed clean when she arrives, or you haven't finished spinning all of your flax, aka turning your flaxseed into linen.
Okay.
By the 12th night of Christmas, trigger warning, I guess, she might slit your belly open, rip out.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Rip out your innards.
Sorry. Hi, this is Grant. Back again. Maia's about to say something shockingly gross in an episode that's been pretty funny lately. Go ahead and plus 60 now. We're back.
She might slit your belly open, rip out your innards, and stuff you full of straw, rocks, and glass shards. She will also...
Can we stuff my ears full of straw, rocks, and glass shards? Gross.
No. She may also disembowel lazy children.
Jesus Christ.
That's it. Less violently, another source said she's also just known to trample and set fire to your half-spun flax. I don't know how we made that jump.
This is all about unfinished garments?
Unfinished garments and, like, not finished house chores. If you do live up to your standards, but you forget to leave out a tribute for her, you could still be punished.
Is the tribute like a small child or like a cookie?
A cookie, basically.
Okay.
So in Germany, the tribute, it depends on where you are. In Germany, the tribute is often dumplings and herring. In Austria, it can be a porridge made from oats and herring. In Tyrol, which is a region in the Alps that is kind of borders
German,
Austria and Italy, it can be eggs and dumplings. She is often equated with the wild hunt in that she flies through the night sky attended by an army of lost souls.
Oh.
And unbaptized children. Hilarious to me. Unfortunately, it does seem that Frau Perchta was not originally, and this is a quote from one of my sources, a violent hag obsessed with domestic chores, particularly during the 12 days of Christmas and Epiphany. So neither Christmas witch nor female Krampus are a good description of her. She is technically a goddess. She is, I believe, originally the goddess of winter specifically.
She chooses to be ugly and terrifying. I get that.
No, the Christians made her so.
I get that too.
Yeah. So she is also, just more commonly, the archetype of a wise woman found universally throughout pagan culture. According to Jacob Grimm, who is one of the Grimm brothers, she, quote, appears as a superior being who manifests a kind and helpful disposition towards men and is never cross except when she notices disorder in household affairs. Also,
she just can't stand for untidiness.
Yeah. Also described by author Lot Motz, she is a, quote, powerful female divinity worshipped among the Germanic nations of the continent. So as Christianity spread, it had to contend with the pagan traditions that preceded it. This often included goddess worship, which directly contradicted the patriarchal nature of Christianity, as well as like a number of other tenets of Christianity.
Father, son, not mother, daughter.
Yes. So why worship a goddess when a woman couldn't even serve in the church in most areas? So previous to Christian ecclesiastical records, folklore predating Christianity shows Perchta as a goddess who cares for the souls of those who died as children and taught mortals how to make linen from flax.
So her army of unbaptized children is children she's saving.
Yeah.
Interesting, complicated.
Yeah. The tradition of leaving out a tribute.
Holding space for her to defy gravity.
Literally. The tradition of leaving out a tribute for her didn't even start as a way to avoid punishment, but actually as a way for pagans to seek her blessing.
Okay.
The practice of seeking her blessing was practiced well into the Christian era, much to the church's chagrin, as I imagine. A Cistercian monk in the 1200s wrote, quote, in the night of Christ's nativity, they set a table for the Queen of Heaven, whom the people called Frau Hulda, one of her names, so that she might help them. So she was deemed the Queen of Heaven at some point. The church then waged a propaganda war against Perchta for centuries. Martin Luther, aka Grant and I's pastor, attacked the goddess in many sermons, saying things like, here Frau Hulda steps forward with her big snout, defies her god, and calls him a liar. The church's efforts have not erased her from history, but instead highlighted the duality of her character. In some parts of Austria and Bavaria, during the 12 days of Christmas, there are parades of Schönperchten, the beautiful Perchtas, and then the Schönperchten, the ugly Perchtas. The ugly Perchtas closely resemble the visage of Krampus, and thus the connection of the two has been made out. That's why she is commonly or sometimes known as the female Krampus. But by comparison, Perchta's history is much, much longer than Krampus's. And so here, originally she was just a witch or like a goddess, and this is what she's depicted as now because of the churches.
Just completely terrifying.
Yeah.
She has fangs. She has like 4 horns. Yeah. Her hair is long everywhere. She has a big belt. There's nothing that distinguishes her from the other like demon monsters behind her.
Right? That's so sad.
Yeah. Clearly intentionally a terrifying figure.
Right? And now they'll have battling kind of processions throughout these countries of the beautiful Perchtas and the ugly Perchtas. So now we're going to go into origins of traditions, and this is where we can play a game of what traditions do you want to hear the origins of?
It does. It's extra fun because for the first part of this episode, I was like, what is the naughty or nice part of this? Because you picked this theme.
Yeah.
And then we got to the cryptids and I was like, oh, okay.
Really naughty or nice. Yeah.
Okay, so Christmas traditions.
I'm hoping I covered the ones that you're going to say.
Okay. Do you want me just to shout them out?
Yeah, sure.
Christmas trees.
Perfect. That's literally the first one.
Figured it would be.
Yeah.
It felt like that was a safe bet.
So long before Christianity, plants that remained green throughout the entire year represented special meanings. So people believed that things like evergreen, pine, and spruce and fir boughs hung over doors and windows would keep away witches, ghosts, and evil spirits, and even illness. And remember when I said earlier that people believed that at the summer solstice, the sun god was the sickest, and if they celebrated, he would start to get better?
Yes.
People believed that celebrating the solstice, so the green plants like the evergreen boughs reminded people that of the green that would grow when the sun god got better, and so they would celebrate and they would keep that around to help them remind them of what would come. In Egypt, the sun god Ra, who has the head of a hawk and wore the sun as a crown, would go through these cycles of being sick and start to get better on the solstice, and Egyptians would fill their homes with green palms and papyrus reeds, which symbolized life triumphing over death. Romans would also decorate using evergreen boughs to celebrate the coming spring. The Druids, who are the priests of the Celts, also would use evergreen to decorate their temples as a symbol of everlasting life.
So it smells good. It's pretty. It
stays green. That's the big thing.
Put it in.
It came to the U.S. largely through the Pennsylvania Dutch and German communities as early as 1747. That was, I think, when the first tree or Christmas... there was a first community tree in the form of a wooden pyramid decorated in candles.
Okay.
Well into the 1840s, Christmas trees were still seen as pagan tradition and not widely accepted. And then why lights on trees? I don't know. Some people credited Martin Luther with putting the first lit candles. And then
It feels like a puritanical thing. Like Puritans did it.
You would think that. Yeah, I don't know.
But I do think that, yeah.
So a lot of people didn't like the idea of Christmas trees, and it started to really change around the 1840s. And one of the big things that changed it to be more widely accepted was Queen Victoria is sketched in an illustrated London news, standing with her children and her like prince or whatever around the Christmas tree, and they were a very popular royal family, and so anything they did immediately became super popular, and this popularity really easily transitioned to the East Coast fashion forward Americans. And then the Rockefeller tree started. That tradition started in 1931. It was actually the first tree was small and unadorned and was in the middle of a construction site.
Nice. Good.
And then
that's America.
Lights weren't even added until 2 years later. So it was just a
tree in the middle of Rockefeller Center.
Yeah.
So then where do we get the tradition of presents from?
I think that's just comes with like the idea of St. Nicholas giving out gifts to people, and then some of these cryptids.
And then we talked about stockings a little bit. Mm-hmm. Do we have an official answer for that?
No.
Okay. So those are the initial questions. I mean, I'm curious, like, do you talk about Christmas carolers at all?
No, I think is more rooted in Christianity.
Okay. So what's some of the things that you found out?
Okay. So we can talk. I'll give you options. Mistletoe.
Okay.
The pickle in the tree, advent calendars, gingerbread houses, and Christmas wreaths.
Mistletoe, advent calendars, gingerbread, and then I'll let you decide the order for the last two.
Okay. Before I finish up Christmas trees, though, there are a few countries that actually don't really celebrate with Christmas trees. In Mexico, it's actually more common, a lot because Christmas trees are kind of expensive, but and they're not super common in that area, but it's more common to have a nativity scene and then maybe a little tree, which is often an artificial tree, or a bare branch cut from a larger tree. In Spain, they use a cagatillo, which is a decorated log that the children feed scraps of food throughout the holidays. Before Christmas, on Christmas, they cover the log with a blanket, and then the children will like hit that blanket with sticks, and then they uncover it, and then they reveal sweet treats like toffee and hazelnut that the log has pooped.
Gross.
Yeah. In
this
Italy,
world is so wonderful.
Oh my gosh,
weird.
yeah. Italy, South Africa are other places that don't celebrate with trees. Saudi Arabia, like, you shouldn't celebrate with trees because it's not okay really to celebrate Christmas in general, so people will hide them. In the Philippines, trees are oftentimes too expensive, so they'll actually hand make trees in an array of color and sizes. They'll also make little star lanterns that they put in windows and stuff to represent the Star of Bethlehem. So you said mistletoe?
Yeah.
Mistletoe. The Greeks actually used mistletoe originally as a cure for everything from menstrual cramps to spleen disorders.
Just a little smooch in my mouth. I should feel better.
I started thinking of the Windex from My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yes.
Yeah. One Roman elder noted its uses as a balm against epilepsy, ulcers, and poisons. Celtic druids in the 1st century AD actually noted that mistletoe could blossom during frozen winters, so they viewed it as a symbol of vivacity and would administer it to humans and animals to restore fertility.
Okay.
Another story comes from Norse mythology where one of Odin's sons, Balder, was prophesied to die. So his mother, the goddess of love, Frigg, went to all of the plants and animals in the world to get oaths from each of them that none of them would harm her son in an effort to keep her son alive. But Frigg forgot the mistletoe. And so Loki made an arrow of it and used it to kill Balder.
Okay.
Another version of the myth said that the gods actually resurrected Balder and that then Frigg declared mistletoe a symbol of love and vowed to plant a kiss on all who passed beneath it.
Where's the makeouts coming from?
So I think this is where she is like, this is a symbol of love. This whole myth, I just have a lot of questions about, but it's fine. Vikings would honor evergreen mistletoe for its role in the death of Balder, who is the god of light. And again, what?
Okay.
Moving on. In the 1700s, it's incorporated into Christmas celebrations. And how? We don't super know how. But the kissing part of the tradition probably came from servants in England, which then spread through other social classes. Men were allowed to steal a kiss from any woman caught standing under mistletoe, and refusing that kiss meant bad luck. So,
okay, gotta do it.
Yeah. Another version says that for every kiss under mistletoe, one berry should be picked from the mistletoe, and then people should keep kissing under the mistletoe until all the berries are gone. Yeah.
Okay. So just horny without any origin, which is a lot of Christmas traditions.
Yeah.
Advent calendars.
Okay. Advent calendars are seen in Germany starting in 1903 by a man named Gerhard Lond.
Advent.
Yes. By a man named Advent. It's a way for children to count down the days to Christmas by opening little small windows to reveal maybe a Bible passage, a poem, or a small gift. And they did not gain mass popularity until the 1920s and is now a secular tradition as well.
Did you have an Advent calendar?
I had one. It was like a big cloth Santa Claus that you move the star from day to day.
Oh.
There were no gifts.
Sorry. Sometimes you guys share stories and I'm like, oh, you guys were poor growing up. I'm kidding.
No, we were just fiscally conservative.
My brother and I, maybe my sister too, but I know my brother and I, we got chocolate Advent calendars where every day we could go up with mom and we would open our little calendars and there'd be a little piece of chocolate in there.
Cute.
Yeah, they were hanging in the dining room. It was adorable.
I love that.
I'm sorry.
Gingerbread houses.
Oh, we used to make those as a kid when we'd go down to Aunt Carol's.
So gingerbread houses, we really don't have any fucking idea.
Good. Okay.
We understand.
They wanted a spicy, citrusy cookie in December.
We understand kind of how they came to be. And then we now understand they're associated with Christmas.
Right.
Big gap.
Okay.
But there are some
theories.
theories.
Let's close it tonight. Let's go ahead and throw some ideas out.
Let's do this. Okay.
Let's see what sticks.
Gingerbread houses most likely began in Germany in the 1800s, following the fairy tale of Hansel and Gretel.
Okay.
Actually, that was published by the Brothers Grimm in 1812. From the Grimm's original fairy tale, actually, gingerbread is never mentioned. It's actually just bread. So the quote from the original fairy tale is, when they came near it, they saw the house was built of bread and roofed with cakes, and the window was of transparent sugar. This line would then later be changed to change the line or the word bread to gingerbread.
Okay.
Following this, German bakers began making small decorated houses from spiced honey biscuits.
You know this fall's latest story. You know the one where the children get
die.
Eaten? Well, we've made a house just for you. And it's the Barbie movie. It's Greta Gerwig's Barbie movie.
Hansel and Gretel. The specific roots, get it? Because it's ginger, of gingerbread.
Sorry.
I did write that into my notes.
Good.
That's where I was at.
Feel good?
No.
Okay.
So ginger root is first cultivated in China. And then the first known recipe for gingerbread might be around 2400 BC in Greece. But others think it's 992 AD,
right,
when an Armenian monk taught Christian bakers in France how to make it. So we really don't know.
Okay.
One source says the earliest gingerbread cookie is Polish and is known as Torun gingerbread starting in the 1200s. There are later references to it happening in the 1400s with the forming of the Gingerbread Guild, likely made to protect the rights of some bakers. Around this time, there are nuns in Sweden baking gingerbread to ease indigestion.
Sure.
Yeah.
My dad loves his peppermint ice cream for a reason.
Yes. So making gingerbread in the shape of a man is credited to the court of Queen Elizabeth I, where biscuits are made to resemble certain guests of honor. But another source said that this tradition actually started in Eastern Russia. So, yeah. But why are gingerbread and gingerbread houses associated with Christmas? One of the sources said that it is actually a result of another Christmas tradition of the Christmas cookie exchange.
My family does those still.
Yeah, the like cookie swaps that started in like the 1700s, but became popularized during World War I. And the first ones that were associated with the holidays happened in the 50s.
Oh, interesting. My mom and her girlfriends will do a holiday cooking party where they all come with the ingredients to bake one specific Christmas cookie, and then they all like bake them together and stuff. Right, because it means my mom comes home with this insane Tupperware of like 8 different types of cookies. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
It was the idea of the cookie swap was actually brought to America by Dutch immigrants, so it was probably a lot earlier than the 1700s. But I couldn't find a clear answer as to why the cookies are associated with Christmas. Some believe it's
so sorry. I'm gonna cut you off here real quick. It's so funny because it's like, it's just that was a tradition I grew up with as a child, and so I didn't even question it. It's just something that happened. But it was like, oh no, my mom, she goes off and like does a cookie exchange with her friends once a year. Like I would trade Pokemon cards for, and it's just like, oh yeah. But then here, like this was a tradition that had to get started at one point, and it got started probably from them. It's like, oh right, like. The word Santa means nothing without any meaning to it. Like the Christmas cookie exchange is kind of strange unless you view it as just like this thing that's always happened.
Which I think is what happened with historians, because there's no other reason why no one would know the connection of some of these. They were like, yeah, it happened. And then someone sometime was like, why?
Well, considering Santa comes from a poem and then a cartoon of that poem, it was probably like, and here in good homekeeping, if you're looking for a reason to celebrate the holiday with friends, do a cookie exchange, right?
And here's a recipe for gingerbread.
Right.
Or
it was like
a
that. Cosmo recommendation for how to like spice up your friend group. And now it's like this tradition my mom does.
One of my theories is that gingerbread houses were just really easy to make look wintry because of frosting.
Yeah.
They were made in the winter.
And also gingerbread is one of those things that when it's stiff and stale, you're not like, oh, what a bad cookie. You're like, this is gingerbread. That's
another thing though. Christmas markets, like Christmas cookie markets, made a lot of money by selling cookies, and gingerbread cookies are probably one of the easier ones to like transport and make, and also make into really complex shapes.
I do love you, this in part because everything is a conspiracy.
But like it's like if you think about it, they're more
I get it. It goes all the way to the top. Yeah, I understand.
Whatever. Okay. Christmas wreaths, they've been around since the ancient Greeks and Romans. Eventually, because of evergreens representing like Christmas things and winter things, and then eventually people kind of wrote into the idea of a Christmas wreath that the circle represents everlasting life.
Sure.
Yeah. And that it represents the crown of thorns.
Naturally as well.
Sure.
If your head is as big as mine.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God.
On my wrist.
Oh, the pickle in a tree?
Oh yeah.
Fucking makes no sense. Apparently,
yeah, I knew that. If I didn't celebrate it as a child growing up, it doesn't exist as a Christmas tradition.
Where do you think from America? Where do you think we got
Philadelphia?
What?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why?
It just feels like.
But like,
Italian
where did
sandwiches have
Americans
pickles.
get the idea of the pickle in the tree from?
Italians.
Oh my gosh, really?
No. I'm trying to buy some time. It needs to be a place where they can't have fresh food year round.
I
Ireland?
bought a pickle ornament last year.
Oh, Germany? For
Germany.
real? Gherkins?
That's where we think we got it from. Apparently Germans are like, what?
I want you to know Americans are also like what? You are like one of the few, you and Kelsey are one of the few people I know who put pickles in trees.
Thing.
It's not.
Yeah, it is.
Please write in. It's not.
It is.
No, it's not.
If you had a pickle ornament in your tree, the tradition is if you find it first, you'll let all your kids at it at the same time. The first person who finds the pickle either gets to open like their presents first or gets a special present.
No. Not every. You are telling me brand new rules around pickle
Everything
ornaments.
that you have said about Christmas and holidays for the last 2 years have been brand new fucking rules for me, Grant. I don't want to fucking hear it.
All I'm saying is, no one has ever done this. I'm glad you and Kelsey have it, and I think it's
people
wonderful.
Have done. It's been a thing. It's been a thing.
You and Kelsey are people. I'm not
I have
disagreeing
the origin
with
of it right fucking here.
And the origin is we don't know.
No, it's not. We figured it. We kind of figured it out.
Okay, what did we figure out?
Okay, first, why the Germans don't know about it. A 2016 survey found that 91% of Germans had never heard of the Christmas pickle or the Weihnachtsgurke. So if not German, where did it come from? One story says there's a Bavarian soldier, John Lower, who fought in the American Civil War, and he fell deathly ill while at a prison camp. While he was on what he thought would be his deathbed, he asked for a pickle, and voila, the pickle cured him entirely. And from that point on, John always hung a pickle on his Christmas tree. Another belief says that poor families in Spreewald, Germany, who is known for their pickles, would hang pickles on their trees instead of other decor. Another theory, the most likely, I think, is that it was developed in the late 1800s as a marketing tool because this was around the time Americans were starting to use Christmas trees, and so they were starting to purchase and import ornaments from Germany, and some of those ornaments came in the shape of a pickle, and they were like, what the fuck do we do with this? And I think German was just like making them because they sell gurke,
right?
And they were like, here are some pickles. And so we were like, how do we sell this? And so they think that the legend came because this company that imported them were like, let's make up a fucking legend because that's easier to sell than random ass vegetables to hang on your tree.
There's
one more.
Okay, go ahead.
Two Spanish boys heading home from the holidays stopped in an inn, and inexplicably, at least inexplicably per the legend, the innkeeper stuffs the boys in a pickle barrel. Luckily, another man stops by the inn and, sensing trouble, taps the barrel with his staff and saves the two boys. That man was Saint Nicholas.
Okay, so hated that story. Start to finish, hated that story. Second, I still pretty skeptical of this pickle thing. But I love it because you love it. And we once ate pickles together at a outdoor market in Munich on a really beautiful rainy day.
It was nice.
Spicy gherkins were incredible. And so, yeah, I'll celebrate a pickle with you.
So the Germans are pretty unified in being like, that didn't come from us.
Right.
However, it has been written.
Don't blame them.
It has been written about in like their newspapers and stuff. And so it seems like some of them are starting to actually take up on the tradition. And this is a quote from the Hamburger Morgenpost. Quote, although it seems a little curious to hang a glass cucumber between tinsel and straw stars, many German families have now recognized the advantage. The annual who may first open a gift discussion is dropped.
Germans are like, it's the most efficient way.
That's literally my next quote. I was like, I love that Germans are like, don't get it, but it helps.
It does resolve one moment of conversation I had to have with my family.
Exactly. And so the last section, there are other holiday traditions. The first one is Japan. This one is so funny to me.
Okay.
I did not know about this.
Okay.
In 1974, after a marketing push, guess what company name I'm about to say right now?
Nokia? Oh, no. Wait, hold on. Can I guess?
Yeah.
Can I actually guess?
Yes.
Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yes.
KFC markets themselves as the perfect Christmas meal.
Yes.
And so now they sell a fuck ton of fried chicken every year over the holidays in Japan.
My family has prime rib, and Japan's like, we better have the nicest meal all year, a bucket of KFC.
Yes.
One time during the middle of summer, I was like, I just got a hankering for fried chicken. So I told Lydia and Jacob that I went to KFC.
Yeah.
And Lydia's answer was like, wow, okay, you like really went to the source for that.
So in Japanese, a lot of times they have Japanese words for American things, but if they have the Japanese word before like America came and like told them the word, they keep the Japanese word.
Right.
If America comes in and they're like, this is the word
Creates
for things,
a new word.
They keep that word, but kind of translate it a little bit so it translates easier into their language. So television is terebi.
Okay.
So it translates easier into their like characters. So this translates to Kentucky for Christmas. It is
KFC?
It is Kurisimasu niwa Kentucky.
I mean, I do want some fried chicken and pickles now.
Right?
With a side of gingerbread.
Yeah. So that's so gross.
There's a lot of burps.
So Colonel Sanders, they will like dress up the mascot of Colonel Sanders as Santa Claus because he already kind of looks like Santa Claus. KFC in Japan starts taking pre-orders and reservations. I didn't even know Kentucky Fried Chicken was able to take reservations for the holidays as early as October in Japan.
In the Philippines, Church's chicken is just known as like Texas chicken. And yeah, it's where you bring people for dates if you wanted to impress them a little bit.
What?
I would rather starve than eat church's chicken 9 out of 10 days.
Okay, so here's the thing with Japan, though, is that everywhere that ever serves food is determined to make it the best possible thing that they can give you. So, like, the food at, like, 7-Eleven is amazing. But so if you're unable to get Kentucky Fried Chicken on Christmas, the next best places are kombini, which is literally convenience stores.
Okay. Fried chicken?
Yeah. Or other restaurants. But it's like, apparently they do them all okay.
I'm typing in Japan KFC right now.
Yeah. There's some hilarious
I'm a little
pictures.
hungry.
Yeah.
Keep going.
In China, I'm not going to try and pronounce these words, but apparently the words for apple and then Christmas Eve sound kind of similar. So,
I mean, it does look delicious. I won't lie about that.
And so going off of this, in China, they will gift each other like engraved apples. I know. Some of the pictures are just so uncanny valley to me.
This is the future liberals want. It's a happy Japanese family eating KFC Japanese figures.
My mom would never even eat in a KFC because she thought it was like gross in there. Like we would only ever take out if we ever even got it.
Years ago, Speech and Debate Nationals was in Kentucky, and I was like, hey, it's the South, but like the northern tip of the South, so there's all this great food. And the kids were like, we have to go eat at a KFC when we're in Louisville, Kentucky. And I was like, really? And they were like, yes. And so I brought them to one, and it was a KFC where like they had no chairs. Like every chair you could sit in was already soldered into tables so they could just mop everything easier. And they're like, this is the promised land. And I was like, this is salmonella, but that's fine. I'm
Whatever
not gonna
you
say that out loud.
Yeah.
It's your trip.
Okay, so China, they'll give each other apples for Christmas because Christmas Eve and apple sound the same, kind of.
Okay.
Engraved into the apples are like characters that are like translate to blessings or well wishes or whatever, and they'll put them in fancy wrappings and stuff. In the Philippines, they host the longest Yuletide season in the world that starts as early as August, and the official Christmas countdown starts on September 1st, and the Christmas season goes until the Feast of Three Kings in early January. Oh. The Philippines is the largest Asian Catholic country, and they have a 9-day-long series of masses or church ceremonies leading up to the one big one on Christmas Eve, which will then be followed by Noche Buena, a feast for communities to come together and eat things like roasted pig and coconut-laced bibingka rice cakes.
Guess which European country colonized the Philippines?
Spain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah. Noche Buena. Yeah. And then I have a few random facts about Christmas, and this is the end.
Fun.
Every year, 25 to 30 million real Christmas trees are sold in the U.S. alone.
Okay.
There are about 15,000 Christmas tree farms in the U.S. The average age of a Christmas tree, I saw a couple sources, it ranges anywhere from 6 to 15 years old.
Okay.
Christmas trees are grown in all 50 states, including Hawaii and Alaska.
Whoa, okay.
The first eggnog was made in the U.S. in, guess what year?
1972.
1607 in Jamestown.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I just assumed it was...
I thought it was going to be the 1900s,
the
too.
generation of people who were like, let's put these hot dogs in this lime green Jell-O.
1607.
That's... Okay.
Yeah. The Christmas flower, the poinsettia, are named after Joel L. Poinsettia, who was an American minister to Mexico and who brought the plant from Mexico to America.
Oh, okay. Hold on. It's coming back.
Yeah,
okay.
in 1828. The Salvation Army has been using volunteers dressed as Santa Claus since 1890. Rudolph the reindeer was first seen in Robert L. May's 1939 poem about the reindeer. The poem was written to help lure customers into the Montgomery Ward department store.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Between 1887 and 1933, a fishing schooner called the Christmas Ship would tie up at the Clark Street Bridge in Chicago and sell spruce and pine trees from Michigan.
Wow.
The first presidential Christmas tree is accredited to Franklin Pierce, in the 14th president in the early 1850s. 1923 saw Calvin Coolidge starting the national Christmas tree lighting that is now held every year on the White House lawn. Teddy Roosevelt actually banned Christmas trees in the White House for environmental reasons, but his son snuck one in anyway. Thomas Edison's assistants are actually the ones who came up with the electric Christmas lights. And according to NASA, this can be a sad fact. I thought this was a cool fact. Light pollution goes up 20 to 50% during the holidays.
Because of all the Christmas lights.
Yeah.
That is actually kind of fun.
Right? I thought that was cool.
Festive.
But yeah, that's it.
Well done.
Sorry, that was a lot longer than I thought it would be.
I'm a
I was
yapper.
not ready.
Yeah, you told me it was like a short episode, and
Because
we
I
were
felt
almost a little
the
concerned.
notes are like a lot shorter than normal.
We're such a chatters, though.
We are chatters.
It's really cute. I love
Right?
that. Something on the Salvation Army real quick. Salvation Army, complicated during the holidays. They do not house queer people in their shelters for the homeless.
Oh.
Because they're a religious organization. For years, it meant I didn't donate anything to the Salvation Army. I think I'm getting to the point where it's like, sure, if I have loose change, I'll give it to the Salvation Army. But I also then want to be intentional about supporting queer organizations in my communities that support those people. Right. Like I can support that mission and make sure that I also donate a little bit to the part of the mission that they don't cover.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. It's not Christmas for us. We have 3 weeks, and I have like a lot of work to do between now and then, just with the end of the semester. But I'm excited to be, because in 3 weeks I'll be in pajamas in like my family's living room.
It'll be so nice.
It'll be so nice.
So excited.
Toasty. I'll be drinking snickerdoodle coffee. And my brother will be too, because I won't be able to drink all of it right away.
He'll finally get over the ego boost.
And
or
I'll
the
have
ego.
my little French press. I am so excited about this, by the way.
So
Thank
excited.
you.
Yeah. Duh.
Well done.
I don't have an episode title.
Oh. Jingle jangle.
We'll think of it. We'll think of it.
Biblically accurate Saint Nick.
Slap across the face. I don't know.
What goes bump in the night feels increasingly appropriate for it.
Yeah, I forgot I did that whole thing about cryptids in the middle. The 13 trolls.
Hold on. Naughty or Nice Part 1 under wraps.
That's cute.
We get there every time.
That's cute. I like that. Okay.
All right. Bye, friends.
Love you. What, are you going to do a speech?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Sorry. Did I do it last time? Have I?
It's your job now. I gave it to you.
Okay.
Like
Cool,
a month
sweet.
ago.
Good thing Maia cut out that part where I said goodbye.
I didn't.
I know. Grant, in case you're editing this, I know we didn't. Shouldn't laugh that hard, but I understand. If you enjoyed this, you can find us and connect with us on social media, where we are Well I Laughed on basically all platforms. You can send in your own surviving the holiday stories to our email, welilaughedpod@gmail.com. You can find us on Patreon for additional content, where you're going to find extra episodes and a Discord channel. And of course, if you are still trying to plan out last-second holiday gift ideas for the people you're going to see on the 26th or 27th or 28th, we have a cameo. And we won't even rat you out for how late you requested it, unless, of course, that's what you want. But until then, thank you for listening, friends, and we will see you all in 2025.
Really?
Yeah, because it'll be January 1st, 2025. 7 days after Christmas.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, goodbye.